It'll be interesting tonight to see if the Rangers come out more physical than they've been in the first two games of this series. With that, let's go live to Madison Square Garden. Ken Wilson and Mickey Redmond.
The crowd very much, as we have indicated, into things here at the Garden tonight during the playing of the two national anthems. Just a steady roar. Ted Sater, the Rangers coach, says we have to get more speed. We're spreading the speed around our different lines. We have to forecheck. We have to get to the Montreal defensemen in a hurry. We have to disrupt them. We've got to utilize speed.
Well, they're going to have to dump the puck in, Kenny, and right off the bat, with this crowd behind them, they haven't stopped yelling and screaming here from the time the Rangers were introduced, and the decibel level had to be up to around 100 when John Van Beesbroek came onto the ice, as he has really become a favorite here in New York, Madison Square Garden. They call him Beezer. Patrick Roy, the 20-year-old in net. I don't know if he've ever faced a crowd like this.
It'll be interesting for him. Certainly Van Beesbroek has to feel much better about the location for tonight's game. The Canadiens played twice here in the regular season. They lost both games. The referee is Dennis Morel. The linesman tonight for Game 3 of this best-of-7 series, Swede Knox and Ray Scapinello.
The crowd right off the bat starting to chant Roy. And they're going to try to unnerve this young man. I met some of the Ranger fans last night around the hotel, Kenny, and they were upper deck fans, if you will. And they're talking about chanting Boy Roy. Of course, it's R-O-Y, Patrick Roy, as pronounced. French Canadian out of Quebec City, and we're underway.
And the Canadiens own the puck. They own the lead in the series, 2-0, and the play is offside at the Montreal line. Mike McPhee, the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute from New York State product, and he has been a key man from time to time in the playoffs for Montreal.
McPhee had the big goal against Van Beesbroek the other night, a backhand flip that Van Beesbroek should have had. Took a bad bounce off Leon Stickle, the linesman's skate, and was a big goal to put the Canadiens up 3-1.
It's Allison facing off against Scrudland. Rangers have the puck. Here's James Patrick, and he'll just shoot it in. Roy plays it, and Rick Green was bumped by Allison. They'll have words.
Look out. Listen to this place. That's exactly what they want. The Rangers come out hitting and belting and take a piece of some of these red, white, and blue jerseys.
Green was letting Patrick Roy play the puck, and then Allison hit Green from behind, banged him right into the goal to knock the goal loose.
Kenny, Ted Sater wanted his hockey club to come out hitting in Game 2 in Montreal. They didn't do that. And as a result, the Canadiens got off to a good start and ended up 6-2. Have a look at it. Number 14, Allison, and Green in front of the net. He gives him a little shot in the back. Knocked the net off the moorings, and that's how that all started. And now away from everything, you've got Sandstrom and Lemieux pushing and shoving. Well, I'll bet you we're going to have a lot of this tonight. This game is a pivotal key game. Not enough can be said of the importance of this hockey game to the New York Rangers. They cannot obviously afford to go down 3-0.
Game 4 will be right back here in New York on Wednesday night.
These folks love to get the old raspberry out and get after the opposing players.
An interesting crowd here in New York. You have a few of the veteran season ticket holders. I guess you would, in all honesty, say the more moneyed crowd down near the rink. And you come up high near the roof, and oh, they are wild.
Turn them loose. I tell you, tickets are almost impossible to get here at Madison Square Garden for playoff games. And outside tonight, they're going for $150, $200 a piece. And we're not even in the finals yet.
16 seconds, first period. Allison interference. Green high sticking, coincidental penalties. Both teams playing at full strength.
There's one way the Montreal Canadiens can stop all this activity around here, and that's to get a couple of good shots on goal and maybe get themselves a goal and take the advantage of the crowd away from the Rangers.
Brook centering McClellan and Sandstrom for New York. Now Montreal. Puck cleared out. It's a chance for Lemieux to Scrudland. And Bob Brook clears the puck away. Ludwig Off the skate of Skrudland. Knocked down is McPhee, and James Patrick with the puck. Brian McClellan, the ex-LA King, tests Patrick Roy. Now Brook taken out.
That's a penalty coming up to the Canadiens. Chelios.
Chris Chelios taking Bob Brook into the corner boards, and the Rangers will have a power play at Madison Square Garden. There's no score. Chris Chelios picking up a 2-minute elbowing penalty at 1:06 here in the first period. The Rangers with the first good opportunity. And the Rangers against Montreal in this series are only 2 for 10 on the power play.
Their power play overall in the playoffs is running at about 23.2%, Ken. As you mentioned, just 20%, 2 for 10 against Montreal in games 1 and 2.
Rangers, Ridley loses the puck to Guy Carbonneau. Now there'll be a penalty coming up right here.
Who's it going to be against? Montreal, I believe, because the Rangers had possession of the puck. And the whistle did not blow. Or is it New York again? Oh, boy. Right off the bat, it is the Rangers again. Paymont goes in just a few seconds behind Allison.
Only 6 seconds after the penalty to Chris Chelios of Montreal. Paymont picks up a penalty. Both teams will be a man short. The game is only 1 minute and 12 seconds old.
I didn't see that happen away from the play, Kenny. Canadiens had possession of the puck, come around behind the net. And Paymont obviously clipped the Canadian player away from the play. And we see the 4-on-4, which we don't see much of anymore.
Some open ice. Key man, Reijo Ruotsalainen, the Finnish defenseman, with a puck to Tom Laidlaw. Keep in mind, Pierre LaRouche, 24 on the ice for New York. The puck hits him, and here's a chance for Montreal. Bobby Smith, quick shot, and that goes wide. Ruotsalainen gets to the puck. Playing it around the boards for LaRouche. Larry Robinson is there for Montreal. The puck bouncing a lot here, and as Mickey pointed out, the ice in not the best of condition. Both teams playing a man short. Here is LaRouche. There's no score early in the first period. He's spun around by Naslund. Oh, Naslund with the stick takes down LaRouche. Quick shot, and that goes wide.
Watch LaRouche. Here he comes after Naslund. No, he decided not to give it to him.
Gaston Gingras, the shot. LaRouche. Samuelson for New York on the rush. Both teams are shorthanded. Melnick in the slot, and the stop by Waugh. Montreal, as both teams are down a man. Carbonneau stopped by Kelly Miller. It's Larry Robinson to Craig Ludwig. Trying to get a shot. He does. It's caught by Van Beesbrook, and he holds on to that drive by Craig Ludwig from a bad angle.
Rangers getting a piece of Montreal every chance they get. And trying to get them off their game. That time Carbonneau going in, and there was Melnick to give him a shot. Look at these two come together. Little Naslund and LaRouche didn't expect Naslund to do something like that. And he really hog-tied him down to the ice. No penalty on the play. And now we get the line changing coming late, and Morrell says that's enough. Richer back to the bench. And that's what you have when you're at home. The advantage of the last change.
Chelios of Montreal will be on the ice again in 23 seconds. Paymont with 29 seconds left in his penalty. Very early in the first period, no score. James Patrick with Mark Osborne. Waugh makes the save. Bob Gainey, some good work. Carbonneau in front of him, takes the pass. 2-on-1 break. Here's Green with him. The pass to Green. He can't handle the puck. James Patrick trying to set things up. Chelios back on. Now Paymont back on as Miller shoots and scores. Kelly Miller, who hasn't had much of a playoff series, and the rookie gives the Rangers the 1-0 lead.
Boy, a perfect shot by Miller. Miller cut right between the Montreal defensemen. Perfect feed by James Patrick. Look at that. A nice angle shot of it from up and top. And there goes Miller in between. Roy does not do a good job of cutting down the angle. Good camera shot of that one from behind Kelly Miller. He had lots of room to find the far side, and a perfect shot.
Kelly Miller has his third playoff goal. What a setup by James Patrick.
Right on the ice. Good shot by Kelly Miller.
Believe it or not, in 13 playoff games for the Montreal Canadiens, that's only the 5th goal they have given up in the first period in 13 games.
Well, they've played 6 of those first 12 coming in here tonight. They've only given up 1 goal the whole hockey game. That's a big goal, the first goal of the hockey game for the Rangers.
Both teams were at full strength at the time of the goal. Rangers lead 1-0. Tom Laidlaw shooting the puck in. Larry Robinson back for it. Now Erickson gets there. Sandstrom trying to center. Erickson in front, but he's unable to get the puck to him. The goal, Miller from James Patrick at 3:15. The Rangers won. The Canadiens no score.
Well, the young man Roy off to a bad start for him as he made a bad angle play on that Miller goal, Ken. He was too far to the short side, and he left all kinds of room. We'll have to wait and see if that affects him or not. He gives up a lot of rebounds normally. The Rangers have been wanting to get second and third cracks at him.
Quick shot, Laidlaw, and that just trickles to the goal. Rangers with Miller, Erickson, and Crawford on the forward line. Bob Crawford, the shot, the stick save, and Erickson shoots behind the net on the rebound.
There's my answer.
What a chance for Bob Crawford, the veteran who the Rangers picked up from Hartford on the 11th of March. He hasn't seen much action, but he had a good chance, Mickey Redmond, to score there.
He certainly did, and Roy showed me that opening goal, at least right now, is not going to bother him. He had to be quick on this play. Stick side shot by Crawford. And Roy was there to make the stop.
The Rangers have 5 shots on goal. Kelly Miller already scoring on Patrick Roy, and the Canadiens have had but 2 shots at the other end on John Van Beesbroek. We're 1 second shy of the 4-minute mark. Game 3 of this best-of-7 series. Bob Brook can't win the draw. Montreal starts out. Larry Robinson. Haney taken out. Back for the puck is Van Beesbroek. Carbonneau forechecking, but Maloney pulls away. A pass at center ice, and Mike Lawler covers up for Montreal. At the defense, a bit of a misplay by Melnick, and an opportunity for Gainey, and then he's ridden away from the puck. Montreal trying to set up, and Lawler plays it through an open goal mouth area. There's an offside play, and the faceoff will be just outside of the Rangers' blue line.
Rangers are playing the body every chance they get. They don't watch themselves. They're going to get some interference penalties because Carbonneau right there was taken out a couple of times by Big Shell Samuelson, and he didn't touch the puck. That's one of the times. Sooner or later, look, Carbonneau taking a swing at somebody on the New York bench.
Now Bobby Smith at center for Montreal against the Rangers rookie Mike Ridley, a 22-goal scorer during the regular season. We talked about Ridley needing to score some. He has 5 goals in the playoffs.
And a good example of that line change in the matchups. You've got Ridley and LaRouche now on the ice, and no Carbonneau and Gainey.
Rangers get out of their own end. Ridley after the puck. 2-on-2. He's forced to the boards. Now trying to get it to Patrick. It's broken up. Serge Beauvais, the former Maple Leaf, to Bobby Smith. Smith in front. Taken out on a strong defensive play by Willie Hubert. James Patrick to Bob Brook. He has trouble controlling the puck. Beauvais ahead. Naslin, Mats Naslin, the Canadiens' leading scorer. Here's Chris Chelios. Good screen in front. Naslin plays it behind the net, and there'll be a penalty as Patrick and Van Beesbroek upended Bobby Smith, the veteran Montreal center, and the Rangers will be shorthanded. At the Garden in New York, the Rangers won. The Canadiens no score.
Penalty is 4 minutes for tripping.
Well, Pierre LaRouche is in the penalty box. Serving the penalty, I believe it was against Van Beesbroek. And obviously the goaltender doesn't have to serve it. Thought it might have been James Patrick for a moment, but I guess Van Beesbroek got that stick underneath Bobby Smith's feet and dumped him in the front of the net. Canadiens on a power play.
5:21 the time of the penalty. Rangers with the lead. Melnick knocked down by Claude Lemieux. Don Maloney clearing the puck the length of the ice. Both teams 0 for 1 in the power play here in the opening period. Brooke Maloney up front killing the penalty with Huber and Melnick on the defense in front of Van Beesbroek for New York. Chelios, who's been outstanding in this series, loses the puck at the last moment. Chelios bumping his way. Here's Stéphane Richer. They score! Richer, a centering pass.
Almost a replay of the goal Bobby Smith scored in Game 2. I think it went off the same skate as Smith did, which is Van Beesbroek's left skate. He leaves those feet apart. Richer just came around the back. Watch this now. He takes the puck, goes out behind the net, and just blasts it in the hole. Watch what happened. Left skate? Yes, indeed. Almost an identical play to Bobby Smith's opening goal in Montreal. Opening goal for the Canadiens, that is. It tied the hockey game, and right here again, this time Stéphane Richer, the rookie, ties the game. A power play goal, 1-1.
Fourth goal of the playoffs for Richer. Oh, he had Mats Naslund right in front and plays it off Van Beesbroek's skate.
I think that's where the pass was intended, as it's called at the Montreal line. You start to mix it up again. Is that Gainey? And we can't tell who the Ranger player is right now.
Let's go to Jim Houston.
All right, Ken, while they scuffle it up by the benches there, we'll tell you that our road to the Cup on ESPN continues all this week and right until the Stanley Cup is presented late in May. We'll be here again Wednesday night at 8 o'clock for the Rangers in Montreal Game 4. Thursday at 8:30, St. Louis and Calgary. So stay with us for the road to the Cup on ESPN. Couple of notes tonight, fellas. Brian Lewis was the scheduled referee for this game. He came up with a leg injury. That's why the backup, Denny Morel, is in. The best sign of the night in the stands? Leave it to Beezer.
The goal, Richer from Chelios at 6 minutes. The power play goal for Montreal to tie it at 1. And that's the 11th power play goal in the playoffs for the Canadiens, who have not done that well, Mickey Redmond, with the man advantage. In fact, on the road, they were only 2 for 16 in the power play.
That's right. That's right. Talk about the sign, leave it to Beezer. You hang around this city long enough and you will see just about everything.
I covered a lot of Manhattan on foot today, and there wasn't much that didn't pass me by, believe me. And it was a beautiful day. 85 degrees here in New York City today. 1-1 is the score. Payma taken out. Here's Allison ahead for McClellan, out of his reach. Could be an icing, but Waugh touches the puck, has to hurry back. Centering, and Payma scuffs the puck wide with Allison right in front. Penalties were handed out. Coincidentals at 6 minutes to Tomas Sandstrom and Bob Gainey. A couple of roughing penalties. Both teams, however, play it at full strength. And the Rangers, Ruotsalainen back for the puck as Montreal changes on the go. Now the Rangers changing players away from Nyland. Ruotsalainen, he can fly, and the shot off Larry Robinson's stick into the crowd. And there'll be a face-off inside the Montreal blue line.
You folks that haven't seen a game out of Madison Square Garden before, the hockey game is going on down on the 5th floor. We are on the 9th floor broadcasting. A little bit of the Ranger action in front. Somehow it got behind Patrick Roy and into the corner. There's a bowling alley on the 3rd floor. It's quite a complex, and they're talking about tearing it down, Kenny.
They're going to tear it down.
A couple of years.
Want to build a couple of office towers here and move it 3 or 4 blocks away. And
more cash.
That's right. This is not one of the better facilities in the National Hockey League. I don't think anyone will cry if and when it's torn down.
They tell me the old garden, the block it used to sit on, sold about 6 months ago for $100 million. A couple of pizzas.
Yeah, a chance. And the puck deflects into the crowd as Mike McPhee moved in on Van Beesbroek on the left wing. The score at New York's Madison Square Garden. Montreal 1, the Rangers. Ken Wilson, Mickey Redmond, Jim Houston, Tom Mees as our ESPN coverage of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs continue. First 2 games of this best-of-7 series to decide the Wales Conference Championship at the Forum in Montreal went to the Canadiens. This is 1-1 here in Game 2. And only 7 minutes, 9 seconds have gone by in the first period. Both teams are at full strength. Mike Ridley takes the puck. He's got Mark Osborne with him, then he leaves the puck. Samuelson plays it to the Montreal defense. There'll be a penalty call here against New York.
There goes Roy to the bench.
And Samuelson ends up with a puck as Skrudland was unable to play it. And the Rangers will be shorthanded.
I didn't see this penalty either, Kenny. It was away from the play. Kelly Miller going to go to the box. That's Ridley. It's Ridley, rather, not Miller. Now there's Lemieux, and there's what it's for right there. The stick gets up, a punch in the face. And Mike Ridley gets a couple of minutes to cool off.
Now Montreal will have the power play.
You notice how much quieter it's been in here since the Richer goal. That was not just a goal for a goal of importance for the Canadiens, but it took the steam out of the Ranger crowd. And here Montreal an opportunity to go ahead with the extra man again.
James Patrick clears the puck the length of the ice. Ridley a high sticking penalty at 7:24. Montreal converting once on 2 power play opportunities in the opening period. Nice pass to Matt Snaslin with Chris Nyland. Also Bobby Smith. Here's Bob Brook, checked by Nyland. Willie Huber steps in. He and Bobby Smith skirmish for the puck in the corner. And it's played by the Rangers back into the Montreal zone, and Chris Chelios retreats for it. Rangers change their penalty killing unit. 1-1 is the score. Huber and Laidlaw on defense. Brook up front along with Jan Eriksson. Nice poke check by Laidlaw. That'll allow Huber, the ex-Red Wing, to whistle the puck the length of the ice, and Waugh makes the catch. Now Matt Snaslin with Chris Nyland and Bobby Smith. The puck deflects off the Rangers player's stick, out of play. The pass was headed for Larry Robinson.
So far Canadiens not anything going at all here with the extra man. Minute 1 left in the Ridley penalty. Rangers standing up at their own blue line. Montreal is going to have to start to shoot it in and chase it. The Rangers continue that kind of defensive work. Big Larry Robinson, his 14th straight season in the playoffs.
More playoff games, 147 now for Larry Robinson and any other players suited up on these 2 teams. Kelly Miller loses the draw to Stéphane Richer. He has scored. Richer has for Montreal after the Rangers took a 1-0 lead. Kelly Miller getting the first goal for New York. Claude Lemieux. Eriksson stops him. Melnick shoots it right back in. And in this instance, Montreal can't even get to center ice to shoot the puck in. Now Van Beesbroek. Could hear someone yell, "You're under pressure," and he just slams it off the glass. Now Richer looking in front, and the Rangers intercept. Nice drop pass. Kelly Miller trying to move in, and he can't get through the defense. Rick Green too far for Richer. Now Melnick lifts the puck high. Only 5 seconds left in the Mike Ridley penalty. Both teams changing on the go. First period of play. 1-1 is the score. Robinson gets the puck ahead, and Gainey dumps it in. Reijo Ruotsalainen back for it. Playing it around for James Patrick. Gainey takes it away. Then Guy Carbonneau pokes it loose. And a chance for New York. Maloney 2-on-1. Chelios back. Maloney with Brook. The backhand shot trickles off Patrick Roy. Now the Canadiens move it the other way. Chris Nyland ahead to Bob Gainey. And he's unable to get around Ruotsalainen. James Patrick gets a hip check and a beauty from Chris Nyland. Then Bob Brook rink wide to Ruotsalainen. 3-on-2 for New York with Mike Ridley. Into the corner, Ridley.
Well, Canadiens are doing some hitting of their own. Look at that Carbonneau hit. Nyland a hit.
Don Maloney knocks a Canadian player down. Maloney bumped along the boards by Chelios. Well, there's plenty of intensity here tonight in the first period at the Garden in New York, and the puck held against the boards for a faceoff. 9:32 to go in the first period. The score 1-1.
Well, this crowd at it again, chanting Rua. They like that corner work. You look at Allison setting up his plays with Sandstrom. McClellan, of course, the big left winger on that line.
Huber and Samuelson, two tall defensemen. Sandstrom's shot would have gone wide. Now, Raw thought he had it at the side of the net, and the puck was well behind the goal. Lawler taking out McClellan, then Sandstrom gets the puck to Huber. Oh, and the save, and a loose puck cleared as Willie Huber had a golden opportunity, and the penalty will come up right here. There have been plenty of penalties in this opening period.
Boy, Huber had an excellent opportunity. Roy didn't know where it was. He just sprawled on the ice. It's going to be Claude Lemieux for the Canadiens, I believe, going to the box. A tripping call. See if we can pick it out. Look at this setup. Sandstrom to Huber. Boom. He kind of half missed that shot. And there was a rebound laying right there. And Roy just hit it with his skate before Allison could chop it in the open net.
And that was the penalty. Lemieux upending Mike Allison. Boy, a defenseman, when he gets in the slot like Willie Huber did, the eyes get big. That's a chance you don't see that often.
You bet.
Tripping at 10:48, the time of the Claude Lemieux penalty. The Rangers with their second power play opportunity. 9:12 to go here in this first period before a raucous crowd at the Garden in New York. Ruotsalainen takes the shot, the save, and there's that rebound left in front. Allison unable to get to it. Now McClellan. Ruotsalainen, Patrick at the other point. Ruotsalainen the drive off the trapper glove of Waugh. James Patrick behind the net to McClellan. In front, Allison there. And a grab right at the edge of the goal crease by Patrick Waugh.
Well, you can see what the Rangers are doing. They're using their points and then jamming the front of the net. Ruotsalainen, number 29, not a big guy, but he certainly has a bullet drive from the point. There's McClellan, tried to get it out to Allison. It bounced off of somebody, and Roy saw it all the way and covered it up. Carbonell saying, boy, I'm at the bottom of this pile. Look out.
There's 1:37 left in this New York power play. Paymont on the right wing. LaRouche on the left wing. Ridley at center, and that's the best firepower that Ted Sater has. Patrick still on the right point. Ruotsalainen on the left point.
A little stalled by Roy. They always go to that pad. Let's fix the strap on the pad. A little rest for the boys. Gainey and Carbonell again out there. Boy, they've seen a lot of ice time.
Carbonell wins the draw, and Lawler's spun around. Carbonell takes out Ridley in the corner. Guy Carbonell unable to clear. Ridley back to Patrick. Shooting it wide intentionally, and Waugh very much able to grab it as he alertly figured out that Patrick was shooting wide.
Well, it's one of the advantages or disadvantages, if you will, of being at home or on the road. Roy obviously doesn't know the bounces off these boards as well as he does at the Montreal Forum, and vice versa for Van Beesbrook. So you hope that maybe it sends him off a little bit. He doesn't know how to handle the bounces, exactly where they're going to come out, and it can cost you when you're on the road.
Montreal shorthanded for another 1 minute and 20 seconds. They have Carbonell and Gainey up front. Ludwig and Lawler on defense. Here's Paymont with a puck. Had the 2 goals the other night to James Patrick. Unusual hop there, and Paymont has it back to Patrick. Winding up the shot, knocked down in front, a scramble, and it's Carbonell and Gainey. Carbonell will go to the bench as Gainey shoots the puck in. And there's 50 seconds left in the Montreal penalty. Claude Lemieux in the penalty box. Ruotsalainen over the line. Ridley in front, and he's too well covered. And again, the Rangers will have to go back into their own zone. And Jell Samuelson gets the puck in, kept in by Bob Brook. Again, an unusual hop in the corner boards there as Green is thrown down by McClellan. Rangers setting up. They have 12 seconds left in the man advantage. McClellan back in the corner. Brooks out in front. The pass to him is knocked away. Huber knocked down off balance at any rate as the Canadiens get the puck to center ice, and Claude Lemieux is back on. Both teams at full strength. Here's Chris Chelios. And Montreal just shoots the puck out, and Willie Huber will go back for it. Lemieux forechecking. Miller gets it out. And Montreal, Mats Naslund ahead to Bobby Smith. Smith cutting right in. The save, Van Beersbrook. The puck is called dead. It was covered long enough in the opinion of referee Dennis Morel.
Look at Naslund. He lost his hat in the pileup, but he doesn't like it. The puck was bouncing around. Morel lost sight of it, and in his judgment, blew the whistle. But
it certainly was not a slow whistle.
No, it wasn't. Smith drove for the net. Now watch this. Is it frozen or is it not? It bounced right in front. Now you see everybody loses sight of it, and right there, Morel feels that Van Beersbrook had a hold of the puck, and you can see by the back of that replay why it ended up going into the net after the whistle.
That was pretty similar to the view that Morel had. Now this is another view.
It's a different view right there. You see, and Van Beersbrook was being pulled away. That puck was never smothered, obviously, but from the angle that Morel was looking at it, you can see why he blew the whistle.
John Perron, the Montreal coach, his first time around in the Stanley Cup playoffs as a head coach. Both teams at full strength. 6:40 left, first period. Rangers scored first. Montreal came back to tie it. Bob Crawford facing off here for New York against Bobby Smith. And Melnick having trouble in the corner. Smith knocked down. Tom Laidlaw will go after the puck. Gets it up on the wing, and here's Crawford, who had a good scoring chance early with Kelly Miller. The shot and a glove save by 20-year-old Patrick Waugh.
Quick glove it was. Crawford seeing lots of ice time here. There's a look at it. Smith gets back to cover Kelly Miller and let Gingras play the shooter, and Roy just picked that one off. Not a difficult save.
Mickey, the players I've talked to that have not played a whole lot either late in the regular season or in the Stanley Cup playoffs indicate that once they haven't played for a week or 10 days, it's very tough to come back in game conditions. In other words, skating on the side and things they claim just doesn't keep them at the level they'd like to be at.
No, there's nothing like activity in the game. Practice only do so much for you. You got to get out there and play in the kind of pace that they're used to in these Stanley Cup games.
Bobby Smith, the former Minnesota North Star. Now Crawford against Carbonneau.
Crawford against Carbonneau on the faceoff.
And the puck covered in the corner. They'll have a faceoff again in the same location.
Bobby Crawford, originally drafted by the St. Louis Blues back in 1979. Spent 4 years with them, a couple of years with the Hartford Whalers, and now here with the Rangers.
There's Gaston Gingras, who played with Montreal. He's number 29, went to Toronto and back to the Canadiens. Another player like Bobby Crawford, who hasn't played a whole lot in the postseason activity. Carbonneau around the boards. Kelly Miller is there, ridden out. And Montreal clears to center ice. Ruotsalainen driving the puck right back in. Gaston Gingras spins Miller around. Here's Crawford with the puck to Kelly Miller. Well covered by Robinson. Jan Eriksson. Laidlaw, the backhand shot, and a quick glove again by Patrick Waugh.
Boy, Laidlaw really moved into that hole quickly.
The score here in New York is Montreal 1, New York.
Jenny, they got a couple of pigeons in this building that permanently roost here. This crowd has got to be driving them crazy. They're flying around up around the ceiling where the circus had their high wires tied up.
It's an expensive home, a very prestigious address for a couple of birds, but I would think they prefer to not have as much company as they have tonight.
No kidding. The circus is in here for 2 months. The ice goes in and out. It's been out of the building actually, or melted down, if you will, for about 8 days since the Rangers last played home, and it just went in late last night. Historically, New York ice has not been that good because of all the activities in Madison Square Garden, the ice going in and out.
You always have the history too. The Rangers for years have not that often been able to practice here in their own building.
They don't practice here very often at all.
Maloney with Ludwig on his back. Don Maloney, the captain of the Rangers, really battling. Then McPhee clears the puck out. Lemieux beaten to it by Patrick. Osborne ahead to Maloney. It's Osborne, Maloney, and Brooke up front for New York. Here's Chelios, who's just been tremendous in this series. Nice pass. Claude Lemieux, the shot. And a stick save, Van Beesbrook. Scrudlin into the corner, out of the reach of McPhee. Now Brooke held on to by McPhee, and Lemieux takes a big hit there from big Willie Huber.
Boy, they're getting some weird bounces off these boards.
And of course they often come in and out also, and sometimes when they get put back in, they're not adjusted perfectly. Here's Maloney. Crowd thought he had been held. Scrudlin around the boards. Willie Huber is there. Huber's shot, and right on a save for Waugh. There's 4:30 left in a good first period. 1-1 is the score in a game that the Rangers better win. It's not a must win, but it's a better win situation. LaRouche hung on to by Robinson. Loose puck. And Samuelson beaten to it. Now is Melnick. Larry Melnick ahead. Out of the reach of Mike Ridley. Here's Guy Carbonneau for Montreal with Chris Nyland. Nyland takes the left wing. Carbonneau up the middle. And an opportunity here as Lawler gets it right in front. Carbonneau bump. Payma all over him. Gainey there. Snatches the puck. Looks over. Sees Lawler. Gives him the puck. Behind the net, Carbonneau with Ridley. And Samuelson takes care of the Montreal player. And that shot by Gainey right there. Here's Samuelson. LaRouche can't get around the defense. And Carbonneau with Nyland. Nyland and Samuelson having a couple of bumps there near the Ranger goal. Tom Laidlaw, the Northern Michigan University product, gets the puck right back. Allison unable to get to it. And the puck bouncing a lot here on this new ice at Madison Square Garden. Ruotsalainen moving with Thomas Sandstrom. He's got McClellan on his left. Ruotsalainen a shot, and that goes off Craig Ludwig. Bobby Smith centering Richer and Deblois. Delayed offside against Montreal as the Rangers come back. Sandstrom to McClellan. The stick save by Waugh. And there'll be another penalty coming up. And the penalty will be against Craig Ludwig, the Montreal defenseman, the Rhinelander, Wisconsin product, who played his college hockey at the University of North Dakota. We're late in the first period. 1-1 is our score here. A lot coming up during the first intermission. Let's get the story from Jim Hewson.
All right, Ken, in our first intermission, we'll check in with Tom Mees and Bud Light Hockey News for some highlights of last night's game in Calgary and also highlights of this game. We'll check in at Sports Center and a feature I think you'll enjoy on the fans at Madison Square Garden. Boy, when their team's playing well, they love their team, and when they're not, yeah, they don't love them so much. It's a love-hate relationship here, and we'll feature that. Mickey, you know all about the fans here. You've played here. Did they ever get a good chant of Mickey going?
Oh, that and probably a few more things that we can't discuss on the air, but
A few shorter phrases than Mickey, huh?
yeah, they're quite the fans, all right. You know, it's funny because the noise really is much louder throughout the building than it is down on the ice. You get the glass around the ice, it fades some of it away, and you get your mind into the hockey game. You don't hear it as much as the rest of the fans do, or we in the broadcast booth. But they certainly can come into play.
Picks up a 2-minute high-sticking penalty. 17-14, the time of the penalty. Rangers with their third power play. Miller scored at 3:15.
Paymont Carbonneau right off the face-off now.
Ray Scapanello, the linesman, does not have as much size as I'm sure he would like when he wants to break up the skirmishes.
There's going to be coincidental penalties here, and it looks like Chelios, and that's going to hurt Montreal to have him off the ice. But I'll tell you, Kenny, you were talking about it what type of a game this is for the Rangers, I would be inclined to say it is a must game for New York. They go down 3-0 and they can forget it. There's Carbonneau and Paiement, although they don't get the penalties. It's Ridley and Chelios. But if Rangers can go down to 3-0 tonight after this game, I think it's all over for them. They don't have a chance with Montreal playing the way they are and having 2 of the next 4 games at home.
The scoring here tonight at 3:15. James Patrick set up Kelly Miller. Miller scoring his 3rd of the playoffs. And then a Montreal power play goal at the 6-minute mark. Chelios assisting on Stéphane Richet's 4th playoff goal. Richet trying to get the puck in front to Mats Naslund. Banked it off the left skate of goaltender John Van Beesbroek.
Look at that Carbonneau again. Boy, oh boy, has he played well. The #1 star in game 2 with a couple of goals, 1 short-handed. And for a guy who's supposed to be a checker, he's doing some great offensive work. 7 goals so far in the playoffs.
Carbonneau, Gainey, Lawler, and Robinson killing the penalty. Lawler checked, but Carbonneau finding an opening for Montreal. LaRouche on 1 point. Brook, who has the puck, on the other point for New York. Now James Patrick playing it behind the net. And here's Carbonneau again. Ruotsalainen for the Rangers, banking the puck in. Robinson unable to clear, but Carbonneau does.
Well, Carbonneau's cleared the puck himself down the ice 3 times already in this power play, and it's halfway over.
Ludwig, the penalty. Meanwhile, Chelios and Ridley, coincidental roughing penalties. And again, Montreal stopping the Rangers cold, and there's only 45 seconds left in the New York power play. Mike Allison gives the puck to Willie Huber. Here's McClellan. Oh, another glove save. And that time Waugh had to get his attention span right out to McClellan after that pass snapped out from behind the goal.
Yeah, that was labeled. That was on the inside of the post if it gets through. But Lawler kind of jumped out of the road and allowed the Rangers to get the puck. I thought he'd have possession.
Now 32 seconds left in the Craig Ludwig penalty. Waugh in the playoffs, 12 games. He's won 9 of them and an unbelievable goals against average of 1.73. And to really see those prevalent in the NHL, you go back to the days of Jacques Plante and Glenn Hall and Terry Sawchuk, really.
That's for sure. You sure don't see it during the season.
No.
Average goals scored for both teams during a game during the year is around 8 or 9 these days. It used to be 3 or 4.
Now Allison centering, McClellan, Sandstrom, Huber, Samuelson on the points. Huber's shot knocked down. This is Mike Allison. Power play New York. Huber can't get that puck by Carbonneau. He's a tough hombre. Look at that Carbonneau.
Unbelievable.
He has been something. Guy Carbonneau. Now McClellan breaks right in, and a stick save by Waugh. There's 8 seconds left in the Montreal penalty. Huber's drive. There's the rebound right in front. And a hand pass by Montreal as Allison gets into a battle. And the battle is with Mike Lawler, the Buffalo, New York native.
Well, that'll all but do it for the power play. Just 2 seconds left in Ludwig's penalty and only 48 left in the first period. The Rangers have territorially had some good advantage and held it in there. Waugh has been strong. They'll send Lawler and Allison to the gate.
You look at the shots on goal, Mickey, and they back up what you're pointing out. The Rangers have outshot Montreal in this period 16-7. But that goal that Montreal got, Richet circling behind the net, centering and banking it off Van Beesbroek's skate, really hurting the New York Rangers because they have outplayed Montreal.
Well, Roy has answered my question about whether the opening goal, which he played it poorly on the angles, would upset him at all, but he's played very strongly since then. And a lot of credit goes to Kelly Miller as well. He made a perfect shot just inside the far post.
2 seconds left in that penalty. Allison and Lawler, coincidental roughing penalties at 19-12. Here's John Erickson, but he's muscled off the puck. Laidlaw. And the puck shot in by New York. Rangers no longer with a power play. Ludwig back. Driving it in is Melnick. Playing it around far side. Crawford centers and Miller deflects it just wide. 24 seconds to go in the opening period. Here's Tom Laidlaw behind the net for Erickson. Robinson gets in his way. Now Gaston Gingras taken out by Kelly Miller. A chance for Erickson trying to get away from Carbonneau. Carbonneau very, very sticky defensively. 5 seconds left in this period.
Oh, look at
Laidlaw's right in front, and they can't get the puck to Laidlaw, and that's the end of the first period here at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Boy, Montreal fortunate right at the end as Laidlaw snuck in behind the defense. The Rangers had control of that puck for so long in the far end with Miller, far side of the ice rather, that they forgot about in front of Patrick Roy. And if the Rangers could have got that puck to Laidlaw, we'd have had a 2-1 hockey game. But a very fast-paced first period, a lot of penalties on both sides. Some excellent work by Guy Carbonneau and Bob Gainey in the defensive end of the ice for Montreal.
Rangers 16 shots on goal. The Canadiens 7. The goals, Miller from James Patrick at 3:15. And then a power play goal at 6 minutes. Richer from Chelios. Well, Tom Mees has a very special feature for us and highlights of last night's Calgary victory at home over the St. Louis Blues. So a lot coming up here on ESPN after 20 minutes of play. The Rangers won, the Canadiens won. These two teams ready to go. Both will be at full strength to start the second period of play. And in that first period, Mickey, John Van Beesbroek really not tested all that much.
No, he really wasn't. The Canadiens really the power play only got a little bit going, and that wasn't on every power play, but John Van Beesbroek's got to find a way to stop those bad goals from going in off that far skate. 2 in a row in 2 games he's given up, and this one here, as I mentioned in the first period, really took the sting out of the Ranger crowd, and not really out of their hockey club because they kept coming, but Roy was there. He recovered after the first goal by Kelly Miller early in the hockey game. You know, in game 2 in Montreal, we pointed out LaRouche, Ridley, and Miller being checked by Gainey and Carbonneau and gang didn't have any shots on goal. And in that first period, they were not lined up against each other, and still Ridley and LaRouche have not had a shot on goal. Of course, Miller did, and that was the only Ranger goal.
That's a key to watch here. LaRouche and Ridley. They're on the ice at the moment on a line with Mark Osborne. This is Willie Huber flipping it in and into the corner. Chris Chelios taken out by LaRouche, who kicks the puck in front, and it's deflected to Ridley. He tries to center. Nice play by Chelios. Now it's Claude Lemieux. 3-on-2 break. Strudlin leaves the puck, gets it back. Richer goes to the slot, and Lemieux's pass too sharp. Rangers get the puck out. It's batted ahead by a Montreal player and played by the Rangers. Huber. And Osborne gets it ahead. Played out by Ludwig to Stéphane Richer, who has the Montreal goal. Here's a shot, and Lemieux's effort turned aside by Van Beesbroek.
Look where that puck came. The egg-shaped boards here at the Garden are much different than those at Montreal. That shot came all the way down to the Montreal zone.
Nyland shooting it in. Van Beesbroek leaves the puck for Laidlaw. And Gainey taken out. Here's Chris Nyland. Centers, and Van Beesbroek turns the puck away from Carbonneau. Paymont checked, puck kept in. Intercepting Bob Brook. Hit by Nyland, up to Maloney. Pass behind Paymont. He takes on Gingras, and Robinson gets the puck right back. Larry Robinson. Over it comes to Nyland off his skate, and some ragged play to start the second period. Gingras unable to get around Ruotsalainen. Van Beesbroek leaving the puck for Laidlaw. Approaching the 2-minute mark. Period 2. Rangers 1. Canadiens 1. Here's a pass from Robinson to Naslund. He shoots and it goes wide.
Penalty.
And no puck cleared, but not out. Gingras, the deflection wide. Maloney should clear, and he does, and there'll be an icing against New York.
Morrell had his hand up for a hand pass on the rebound. I thought it was a penalty, but nothing called there.
It's the Rangers 1, the Canadiens 1. Both Both teams at full strength. 1-1. Second period. 2 minutes 11 seconds old. Now Van Beesbrook adjusting the strap on his left pad. A lot of penalties in that first period. 14 in all, 7 aside. They were all 2-minute minors. Bobby Smith facing off against Bob Crawford of the Rangers. Crawford gets it out, and it's brought back in offside by Chris Chelios, the 24-year-old product of the University of Wisconsin, who was a big leader on the Badgers' 1983 NCAA championship team.
Chelios, a lot of people around the Canadiens are thinking that Montreal will go on to the Stanley Cup final. As Chelios, for one, has not played all that well. And all of a sudden, he's starting to come to life, and that's only going to help, obviously, the Montreal cause.
Miller after the puck, played away from him. Erickson around to the near side. Samuelson can't come up with it, and the Rangers will have to come back to center ice. Then Smith has the puck handed to him by Melnick with Beauvais. And Naslund, Bobby Smith trying the screen shot, hitting a leg. Rangers, Jan Erickson to Bobby Crawford. The shot, and it's kicked out by Waugh. Here's Miller, a drive, and that's knocked down. Now the quick outlet pass for Montreal. Beauvais drills it wide. Kjell Samuelson attempting to clear and unable to. Rangers control a bouncing puck. Melnick runs into Devlois. Naslund keeps it in. Smith in front. The pass across. And the puck comes loose, and the Rangers will start out. And winding up, shooting it in is Crawford. And Waugh makes the save as the puck ends up on the back of the net.
And that faceoff will come outside as it didn't touch a Montreal player. It came off the boards and just stuck right in the back of the mesh. Goes Bobby Crawford. He took that shot a moment ago from outside the line. That's a Crawford opportunity. About a minute ago on that same shift, he was belted by Ludwig, but forced Roy to make a good stop. He went to his right and shot the puck back to the left. Had Roy moving.
Skrudland facing off against Allison. And the puck back to Van Beesbrook. Patrick will go back for it, and Van Beesbrook plays it up in the wing. Out of the reach of Sandstrom, now Montreal. Skrudland, McPhee. His pass stuffed into the corner. Skrudland all over Patrick, and Devlois tips the puck away. Clearing it out for New York, Brian McClellan. There's an offside pass as Robinson's pass from inside his blue line to Devlois over the checkered red line.
Look at Brian Skrudland to the Canadiens. Skrudland out of Peace River, Alberta. The free agent signed by Montreal in 1983. Didn't play a whole lot this year for Montreal. Only had 9 goals. Just 22 years old. He likes to forecheck a lot and very physical player. Canadians are forechecking very well and using the body here in this hockey game. And in the early stages of period number 2, we've almost played 4 minutes. We're tied at 1 in a critical game for the New York Rangers. They're down 2-0.
Now the Rangers have Brook centering Maloney and Payma. Ruotsalainen on defense along with Laidlaw. This is Payma, the veteran. Maloney after the puck. At the point, Ruotsalainen right on, and the rebound eludes Maloney. Nyland gets the puck ahead. Gainey's on the left wing. Gainey plays the puck off his skate. Behind the net, Nyland getting away from Ruotsalainen to Carbonone. Steers it wide. Gainey to the point. The shot, and right on a stick save by Van Beesbrook. Here's Larry Robinson. Puck knocked down by Wilf Payma, the much-traveled winger. Just gets it to center ice. Robinson again. That pass hops over the stick of Richer. Van Beesbrook gets it out for Maloney, and just by him, and there'll be an icing call against the New York Rangers.
You don't like the call.
At the Garden in New York, this game tied at 1.
And as you look at the Ranger lineup, what they're getting set for the faceoff, Ridley, LaRouche, and Osborne. That's one of the switches Ted Sater has made. Osborne was with Maloney and Brook playing right wing. He's now on the left side. with Pierre LaRouche.
All season long, the Rangers have not been hesitant to change those lines around.
They had to pretty well.
LaRouche can't play it. Then it's overskated by Ridley. That bouncing puck on the new ice again. And Skrudland gets right by the puck. You can see the problem. Samuelsson falls down. Richer in front. Skrudland the pass. And Richer in too deep. Then Van Beesbroek stops that final centering effort.
Canadiens forechecking again right at the Ranger blue line. Opened that opportunity up, and Skrudland just not able to get it to Richer. It got in through to him, but not on the stick. Hit him right in the feet.
And Skrudland stopped right there. And there's Pierre LaRouche, often ridiculed for a lack of defense, was right there to help out.
Well, you know what Ted Sater told me the other day? He said, look, LaRouche can score goals. We know that. And all we've said to him is, look, we don't expect you to go in there and forecheck and muck around in the corners. You're more effective out in the slot. Let somebody else get it to you. But if we don't have possession and you're coming back, just look for an opposition jersey and get near him and get him out of the play. That's all we ask. Like the man in Philadelphia, Fred Shiro, said a long time ago when somebody asked him, why don't they make Reggie Leach a checker? He said, are you crazy? Got a guy that scores 60 goals. I'm going to make him a checker.
Patrick in the corner, ridden out. Bobby Smith getting away from Mike Allison. Beauvais in front. Can't get the shot. Now the Rangers move it the other way. Sandstrom to McClellan. Allison the center with those two wingers. Puck handed to the Canadiens defense, and they're unable to get it out, but the puck goes over the boards into the Ranger bench. Boxing coming up on ESPN. Let's get the full story from Jim Houston.
All right, Ken, top-ranked boxing tomorrow night. It's hard to think that it'll be any more intense than this, but from Harrah's Marina, Atlantic City, we'll have a 10-rounder between Doug DeWitt from Yonkers and Charles Boston from Trenton, New Jersey. Middleweights, that's tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. You know, as this game stabilizes a little and slows down a bit, you look back to the first period and think of the shots on goal, 16-7 Rangers. Isn't that what goaltending's all about in the playoffs? Patrick Roy holds his team in till they can stabilize it.
1-1 the score. Here's Jan Eriksson. Miller breaks for the net. Crawford is the center on this line for New York as the Canadiens get the puck out. Willie Huber playing defense with James Patrick, and a poor pass. Chris Nyland leaves the puck. Gainey swings it to the point, and the deflection wide. Eriksson. Crawford. Ooh, and Waugh tested. Who would have thought Crawford could get away that strong a shot?
Same shot as he took the last shot.
Boy, Bobby Crawford has had some fine scoring chances. Now Bob Gainey blisters it wide. Robinson kicking the puck in, and it's held against the boards for a faceoff. Well, how many times in sport, hockey or any other, do you see an unsung player, a player who you don't even expect to dress, come in, have a big game, and you almost get the feel now Crawford will get a big goal tonight?
You know what he's doing? He's just firing for the far side. He's catching Roy moving to his left. As Crawford comes down the right side, Roy will move over to that side of the net, and he's firing it back to the far side. And it shouldn't be that close from 55 feet out on a wrist shot. Roy is making it look more difficult than it is.
Montreal in this period has had 6 shots on goal. The Rangers have had 3. Ridley with a puck for New York. And at the point, it's Gingras. He shoots it wide. Now Mark Osborne clearing it out. Mats Naslund slaps it in. Van Beesbroek leaving the puck for Laidlaw. He's on defense with Ruotsalainen. Nice play there. Nice move by Laidlaw. They like to spring Ruotsalainen. He carries in. Look at this stick handling in front, and Osborne can't get it. Now Ridley, and the shot goes wide. Robinson takes a bump, but with a puck on the mesh, play stopped quickly by Dennis Morrell. This is Game 3 of the Wales Conference Championship, and it's tied at 1. They love it here at Madison Square Garden in New York.
And this is for nothing. Look at this. Standing ovation for absolutely nothing. They're just up there saying, come on, guys, we're with you.
Hey,
keep plugging away.
You've come this far. Don't stop now. Let's get a victory tonight, and we'll come back here Wednesday night and try to even the series. Brooke facing off for the Rangers against the youngster Skrudland. Pema back to Samuelsson. for Pema, out of his reach. Ludwig takes out Maloney, but he tries to keep his balance and maintain possession, and he's finally unable to. Samuelson pinches in, hops over Maloney's stick. Here's Lucien Deblois with McPhee, and Melnick intercepts, and Deblois keeps the puck in, can't play it, and it's cleared out. Ludwig, he's on defense with Chelios. He takes a big hit. Deblois shooting the puck off the glass.
That bounces again.
And finally, the puck goes into the Montreal bench.
Paymont take a run at Ludwig, and he saw him come, and he went down. And Paymont just flew right over the top of Ludwig's body. Bobby Brook, who has played very well for New York throughout the playoffs. There's 12 points coming into tonight's game.
He was a shortstop at Yale University at the time that Ron Darling was a pitcher there. And of course, a hockey player also in his college days.
The Rangers would like to be on the streak that the Mets are on right now, wouldn't
they? They'd like to. 12:25 remaining, second period. This period has been scoreless. 1-1 is the score. Patrick gets the puck to McClellan. He was in a bind, and then he just digs his team a little deeper. Gainey's centering pass broken up. Patrick, the Ranger defenseman, with a head fake, unable to get around Ludwig. Chelios calmly to Nyland, who takes the body. A race. Gainey. Now Huber will try to slow down Gainey with one hand in front, and a nice poke check as Sandstrom was there to beat Carbonneau. The other way, New York. Mike Allison. In front is McClellan. The pass to Sandstrom, knocked away by Waugh. Here's Chris Nyland, the 28-year-old Boston native, who played at Northeastern University. Gets the puck in over the line and roots a lane and winding it up. Pass ends up on Allison's stick to Ruotsalainen, and it bounces every which way. Now Chris Nyland with a bouncing puck. Can't clear. McClellan blisters it wide, and it caroms all the way to center ice, and Laidlaw with a puck. Rangers changing on the fly. Reijo, Ruotsalainen. Montreal changing also. Chelios back for the puck. LaRouche chasing him. Chelios hit in the face by Mark Osborne. There'll be a penalty.
Yep.
Waugh goes to the bench. Delayed penalty coming up against Mark Osborne of New York. And the play will continue as long as the Canadiens have the puck, and they have an extra skater until the puck is touched by the man to be penalized, Mark Osborne. Montreal will have the power play. The game is tied at 1. First penalty of the second period, 9:13. Osborne, 2 minutes for high sticking.
Knocked Chelios' helmet off in the process. Fortunate that there was no blood drawn on that one, or he might have got a 5-minute major.
Montreal 1 for 3 on the power play. A power play goal tied it at 1 early in the first period. Richer got the goal on a centering pass that went off John Van Beesbrook's skate. Gingras shooting it in. Robinson pinches in. Naslund unable to get to the puck initially. Erickson spun around, and the Rangers clear it out. Here's Miller. Kelly Miller with a burst of speed, and Waugh makes the save as Erickson was there for the rebound.
Oh, what great speed by Kelly Miller. He had as good a scoring chance as you want. He got to the outside and actually got in front of the net one-on-one with Roy. Robinson didn't see him coming. He went by him, and he got around Gingras. And he makes the move to cut right in. Roy covering up.
Miller bidding for the Rangers' 4th shorthanded goal in the playoffs.
Couldn't get it up. Right into the pads of Patrick Roy. Kelly Miller spent 4 years at the University of Michigan State, part of the Detroit area. Showed some great speed there.
Patrick with Huber killing the penalty, and it's offside as Maloney pokes it in. A delayed call. Brook, the other Ranger penalty killer. Larry Robinson, classic style to Mats Naslund. Smith up front also with Lemieux. This is Lemieux keeping the puck in. Mats Naslund. Larry Robinson. Gingras Back to Robinson. He lets her go. The save. Loose puck. And Brook clears it away. Good save by Van Beesbrook on Larry Robinson. There's 51 seconds to go in the Osborne penalty. Montreal with a power play. Smith with Naslund and Lemieux. Robinson. Ooh, and it grazes off the goal post. Kelly Miller unable to steal the puck. Robinson again. The shot deflects right on. And Van Beesbrook the save as the rebound was dangerously nearby. As Lemieux was trying to get to that rebound, Huber had him too well covered. Now it's Mats Naslund. Look at him battle, and that shot goes just wide. Gingras. Gaston Gingras in front, broken up by Melnick and cleared out by Jan Eriksson. And there are 8 seconds left in the New York penalty. Both teams changing.
A couple of good chances by Montreal. That'll be all she wrote, though, as Osborne steps back on the ice.
Here is Gingras again. Rangers back at full strength with Gainey. And the pass out of his reach. Bob Gainey. Checked by Ridley. Here's Kjell Samuelsson, the 29-year-old defenseman from Sweden. To Ridley. He's stopped and the puck cleared out. Now Montreal coming back. Van Beesbrook making the routine save. And the Rangers clear it through center ice. There'll be no icing. Chelios. Up to Gainey. Off his stick. Samuelsson playing the puck in, and it is offside. New York with 8:10 to go in the first period. ESPN Stanley Cup coverage from the Garden in New York. The Rangers won. The Canadiens won. We're glad you're with us for an exciting Stanley Cup playoff game tonight. It is 1-1. 8:05 remaining in the second period. It's been a good period for Montreal. Though it's scoreless, they have outshot the Rangers 9-4. McPhee backhands it in. Richer slowed up by Patrick. And it's Ruotsalainen leaving the puck for James Patrick. Ludwig at the left point. Keeps it in. And Patrick a little hook on Richer, and that allows him to get the puck. Montreal doing some fine forechecking. Sandstrom. Allison. Mike Allison back to McClellan. Return and the shot wide. Ruotsalainen along the boards, taken out by Richer. And on a second effort, Montreal gets the puck out. Look at the behind the back pass. Skrudlin. And the shot right on. McPhee, a nice pass to Skrudlin, who centers. Here's Mike McPhee. Back to Larry Robinson, and the high shot well wide. 7:10 left in the second period. Montreal 1, New York 1. Brian McClellan trying to turn in on Chelios and taken to the boards. Guy Carbonneau plays to an open wing. Finally, Carbonneau trying to get it out and can't, and Montreal to center ice. Now Gainey has to wait and is unable to wait long enough as Lucien Deblois was caught in over the New York blue line.
Deblois did some good checking across the line against Sandstrom to get that thing out of there. So we'll take a break. Let's go downstairs to Jim Houston.
All right, men, beautiful day today. Might like to bet out in the golf course. And if you're thinking golf, think ESPN. Friday, May 9th, 10th, and 11th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday from the Dominion Country Club, San Antonio, Texas. It's the Senior PGA Tour and the Dominion Senior Invitational. Chichi Rodriguez, Don January, Gary Player, Arnie Palmer. Just some of the field that'll be there, men.
Here's Kjell Samuelsson for New York. Clearing it out. Both teams at full strength. Beauvais hands it to Samuelsson. He hits his own player. Can't clear it in. Larry Melnick. Wilf Paymont. You can hear the yell, Wilf, Wilf. That's Maloney. He finally gets the puck. Maloney yanked down. Bobby Smith in the corner. Out to Larry Robinson with Beauvais and Naslund. Mats Naslund. Robinson in front. The pass doesn't reach him, nor does Beauvais get a stick on the puck. Now Don Maloney for the Rangers from Melnick. The shot wide, hops over the net. And Naslund looking to clear, and he does for Montreal. Laidlaw chops the puck into the crowd. That brings a stoppage in play, and there's 5:37 to go in the second period. The Rangers and Canadiens tied at 1.
Well, Kenny, the longer this game goes on, the Canadiens are even with the Rangers. It's to their advantage. This crowd behind the New York team. They just play it as tight as they can, being on the road, and look for that one good break. One good shot is all they want.
Chelios gets it in. Laidlaw can't clear. And it's Tom Laidlaw. Ridley. Osborne can't reach the puck. Then Laidlaw gets it, centers, and LaRouche looking for it. It's at the point. Huber! And that one grabbed in front and caught in the paraphernalia of Craig Ludwig. That was quite a shot by Huber. A blind shot, really.
I had a chance this afternoon when they were trying to get this ice broken in a little bit. A bunch of the folks from around the Rangers, general manager Craig Patrick, we watched Huber shoot the puck to go out and skate. I went out and skated with him this afternoon on this Gardens ice, Kenny, and used Big Willie Huber's stick. I don't know how he keeps control of it. He's got a big hook on it. The stick is the blade is angled down, up, all over, goes all kinds of different directions. Of course, with his size and strength, boy, he can really get something behind it.
Osborne unable to get that centering pass. Out in front, then LaRouche intercepts to Ridley. Mike Ridley shoots and scores. There's that Ranger combination. LaRouche and Ridley.
Now Ridley with his first shot on goal. Now watch a little deflection. It's kept in by LaRouche. He just tips it by the Montreal defenseman, and Ridley goes topside. Over top the trapper of Patrick Roy. 2-1 Rangers.
That is goal number 6 in the playoffs for the rookie, Mike Ridley. Nice job by LaRouche.
That was Gingras that came out to challenge LaRouche. He didn't quite get there, and LaRouche just got a piece of it to tip it by him to Ridley.
17 points now in the playoffs for Pierre LaRouche. 8 goals, 9 assists. He and Doug Gilmour 2 points behind the playoff scoring leader Wayne Gretzky, who had 19 points in 10 games. 2-1. Rangers lead. Less than 5 minutes to go in the second period. Patrick ridden out. Then Erickson and Carbonneau fight for the puck in the corner. Larry Robinson steers it up the boards for Nyland. And the Canadiens clear to center ice. Ruotsalainen teamed on defense with Patrick. Well, that goal could give the Rangers a huge lift. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep it going. Now Gainey. And they shot right on by Carbonneau. From the point. Gingras shot deflected right into the chest of John Van Beesbroek as Nyland was right there.
He got a piece of that shot as well. It was deflected way back at the point when Gingras let it go, and then Nyland redirected it, but Van Beesbroek there to make the stop. Canadiens had a 3-on-1, but Gainey couldn't handle the puck to get a setup for his teammates. That Rangers' second goal. Ridley, his 6th of the playoffs from LaRouche at 14:57. Second period. I don't know if there's a second assist on that play or not. I think they have given an assist to Osborne. It was LaRouche that intercepted the Montreal clearing pass, I thought, at the line, but Osborne and LaRouche get the assists. It's 2-1 New York.
Down to 4:18 to go as the Rangers ice the puck, and the faceoff will come back near John Van Beesbroek.
Rookie coach Jean Perron.
His Montreal Canadiens finished with 87 points in the regular season, 7th overall. They had 9 more points than the New York Rangers, who finished 14th overall in the 21-team NHL. Naslund, the little guy. Samuelsson, the big guy. 6'6" is Kjell Samuelsson. Mats Naslund is only 5'7". 2-1. Rangers lead. Mike Allison with Sandstrom and McClellan, whose shot goes high. Melnick keeps the puck in. Here's his drive. That hits Bovair. And it's a play on Bobby Smith. He didn't do a very good job causing havoc now in his own end.
McClellan got away with one there.
Bobby Smith again. He's got Gobert in front. Puck behind the net, centered. And Van Beesbrook had to be very alert on that one.
Naslund just a quick one-timer. It ended up on the other side of the net, and Van Beesbrook just got across to grab it.
Mats Naslund had 110 points in the regular season, and he leads Montreal in the playoffs with 10 points.
Well, he's upset at himself. He didn't get that one in, but I don't think he could have gotten it away any quicker. John Van Beesbrook was at the other side of the net, realized the puck was coming back the other way, and just got there. Naslund, wrist shot.
Van Beesbrook, as we mentioned, not tested much in period 1. 7 shots for Montreal on Van Beesbrook. He let in 1 off his skate, but in this period Montreal has peppered the Little Ranger goalie with 13 shots. The Rangers have had only 5 shots here in the second period, but they've scored to take a 2-1 lead. Skrudlin, Lemieux, Richer, the speedy young line for Montreal. Bayma ready for the faceoff against Richer. Richer gets it to the point. Look at Maloney, overskates, but did a good job to get in position. And Montreal forced back. It's Gaston Gingras to Brian Skrudlin. And the Rangers, Brook sees it go right by him to his defenseman, James Patrick. And Lemieux shoots it right back in. 3:10 left, second period. Payma for New York. They lead 2-1 to Bob Brook. He'll drive it over the line. Digging it out, Don Maloney. Ian Gingras. Gingras around the boards. Laidlaw keeps it in. In front, Maloney. And he can't beat Waugh as Gingras takes out Don Maloney.
Now, Roy in that butterfly style had the big pad there. Maloney didn't have any room to stand back and get it up top. Blasted it into the pad. 2:51 to go now, second period. It's 2-1 Rangers. You look at Captain Don Maloney. And for the Rangers, Maloney, as Robinson leads the Canadiens with 146 playoff games coming in tonight, Maloney leads the Rangers tonight, playing in his 77th.
Now Jean Perron sends out Carbonneau, Gainey, and Nyland, Chelios, and Ludwig. Crawford unable to win the draw for New York. Chelios yanked down. Here's Miller. Kelly Miller looking for Crawford in front. Erickson is there also. Miller, a dandy move. Now back to the point. Laidlaw behind the net for Bob Crawford. And Ludwig ends up with the puck. Ruotsalainen taking a chance. Gainey springs loose. Carbonneau is shot and throwing out the right pad just in time is Van Beesbrook on Guy Carbonneau. We're close to the second intermission. 2:21 to go in the period. Let's check in with Jim Houston.
All right, Ken, in our second intermission, we'll check in with Tom Mees and the Bud Light Hockey News. Highlights of this period. We'll look into Sports Center, find out what else is going on around in the sports world. And Bud Liebler of the Chrysler Motor Corporation will be along to discuss his company's commitment to excellence and integral involvement in the National Hockey League. From the medical ward down here, Rick Green has left the Montreal lineup right now. He's been out with the flu or having problems with the flu, and he's come off the ice feeling very ill.
That won't do the Montreal cause any good. Green has played very well for Jean Perron.
Chelios, and the shot deflects right on. The centering pass doesn't reach Naslund from Bobby Smith. Naslund all over Ruotsalainen. A bump from Chelios, and then Osborne drills Chelios, who gets it to Smith. Bobby Smith centers, and a nice effort by Laidlaw to break up that pass. Osborne can't get the puck around Chris Chelios. Naslund and Laidlaw comes up with a loose puck. Tom Laidlaw just lifts at the center ice. LaRouche there. He can't play it. Look at that puck bounce, and the Rangers are offside with 1:48 remaining in the second period. One goal in period 2, and the Rangers getting it at 14:57 as Osborne and LaRouche draw assists on the Mike Ridley goal.
That bad ice again coming into play. That puck bouncing around like a rubber ball at the Canadiens' blue line. It's especially dangerous in your own zone when you're a defenseman, your last man back. You've got to really make sure that you just got a hold of it and don't let it by you instead of trying to make the perfect play and anticipate and intercept.
Now the face-off. And Montreal losing it. And Samuelsson shooting it in for New York. There's Osborne along the boards. Ridley doesn't see the pass. LaRouche behind the net. Ridley there. And Osborne misses with a check. And here's Larry Robinson to Brian Skrudlin. Boy, Osborne all over Skrudlin, who centers, and Deblois set up perfectly. Lemieux trying to get the puck from LaRouche, can't. Ridley finally gets the puck to center ice, and the Canadiens control. Lawler hands it right to Samuelsson, to Ridley, and the pass just under the stick of LaRouche. Larry Robinson losing it, and Montreal finally able to clear. Down to a minute to go in the second period. Rangers lead 2-1. Samuelsson bumped, and a hand pass there, and play is stopped. Maloney hand passing the puck to his defenseman, Shel Samuelsson, and the faceoff will be outside the Montreal blue line.
Rangers starting to come on here in period number 2. It's been a lot of Montreal with all those shots on goal. We're tied at 22 now with shots on goal. We'll look at Larry Melnick, the veteran defenseman. But New York has been pressing the last 4 or 5 minutes. Forechecking, dumping it in, going in behind the net, trying to win the battle on the boards.
Been a good game so far.
It has.
The pace has been much better than some of the recent playoff games that have been a little bit more defensive oriented.
Especially the 2 in Montreal.
Kelly Miller off the boards, too far for Maloney. The captain of the Canadiens, Bob Gainey, getting it out. And Hubert plays to an open wing. Chelios just leaving it for Patrick. But it's shot into the Ranger bench. And we're down to 32 seconds to go in the second period. Glenn Hanlon might have caught that.
I think playing goal isn't tough. He got nailed in the side of the head sitting on the bench.
Put the helmet on, Glenn.
Not funny to him right now.
A lot of penalties. In fact, 14 in the first period. Here in the second period, we have seen only 1 penalty to this point. Miller and Ridley has scored for the Rangers. They lead it 2-1. Carbonneau facing off with Bob Brook. Carbonneau winning the draw. Here is Ludwig. Ahead for Gainey. The pass behind him. Hubert. Miller. Erickson. Chelios plays it around for Nyland, and Patrick pinches in. James Patrick ridden to the boards by Chelios. 14 seconds left in the second period. Patrick losing his helmet. Miller trying to center against Carbonneau. You don't do much against Guy Carbonneau in this series. Nyland has broken his stick. Gainey gets the puck out, and the Rangers control just as the second period comes to a close. The only goal in period 2 at 14:57. Ridley breaking the tie from LaRouche and Osborne. Shots on goal in the second period. Montreal 15. The Rangers had only 6, so the shots on goal really flip-flop from period 1, but both teams, Mickey Redmond, did have their moments in the second period.
They did. A pretty even period of play, actually, with the Rangers coming back in the last 5 minutes to get some opportunities. The boys a little rambunctious here as they try to get him off the ice, but got an interesting third period coming up. The Rangers finally getting Ridley and LaRouche loose out there, and they finally get something going with Ridley scoring to make it 2-1. But those are the 2 guys we've been talking about. They got to get them involved more in the offense if they're to beat this Montreal team.
Well, we'll be right back. Jim Hewson will be along with his guest, Bub Liebler of the Chrysler Plymouth Company. After 2 periods at Madison Square Garden in New York, the New York Rangers 2, the Montreal Canadiens 1. Are you? All right, Tom, the 2 teams back on the ice. The crowd trying to get into a bit of a frenzy as the Rangers return. They lead in this game 2-1. And it has been, as Tom Mees pointed out, a very good hockey game. A quick pace. Good, tight checking still in many instances, and the goalkeepers, John Van Beesbroek and Patrick Waugh, have been strong as they have been throughout the playoffs for these two teams. And certainly it's easy to say, Mickey, it's anybody's game heading into the third period.
Certainly is. I don't think the Rangers are going to do a whole lot different. Montreal is just going to keep coming at them, but obviously as time ticks away, if the score stays the same, the Rangers will tighten it up as we go down towards the end of that third period. Both these goaltenders have made some big saves in the hockey game. And Montreal having the goal, what they thought was a goal disallowed by Morel as he blew the whistle, losing sight of the puck. But Canadians will try to force him right off the bat, I'm sure. Throw it in and forecheck.
John Van Beesbroek, the man who goes to the Hershey chocolate bar with almonds before every single game he plays, is ready. He was shaky at times in the first period, but was peppered with 15 shots and turned them all aside in the second period.
Rangers have hit a lot more people tonight in 2 periods than they did in 6 periods up in Montreal. They didn't touch a soul. Basically, they had 1 or 2 or 3 hits that I remember being of any consequence in both the games, but they've been belting the Canadians every chance they get here in 2 periods of this hockey game.
17,374 standing room only here in New York as the third period begins. Don Maloney, checked by Chelios, still gets the puck in, and it's cleared out by Ludwig to Bob Gainey. Gainey shooting it in. It's Gainey on with Nyland and Carbonneau. Chelios backhands the puck in. James Patrick will play. Maloney plays it ahead, and the Canadiens will go back. Ludwig taken to the boards. Now the Rangers. Payma stopped in the corner. Guy Carbonneau moving in on Laidlaw. And Ruotsalainen will come up with a puck. Brooks centering Payma and Maloney for New York as Ruotsalainen carries to center ice. Rangers lead 2-1. Robinson leaving the puck, gets it back.
Oh, just about intercepted by Osborne.
Nice idea to go to the middle. We had a lot of traffic on the boards.
Harry Robinson knows better than to go up the middle in his own end, though. That's a cardinal rule.
Boy, that's a tough play.
Not unless you're positively sure.
Now Samuelson back for the puck. There'll be no icing. They say Montreal could have played it. Lawler. Beauvais to Naslund. And Melnick runs into Serge Beauvais, who intercepts. He's bumped. And a battle in the corner for the puck. And it's hit by a high stick, and thus play is stopped by referee Dennis Morel. And the faceoff will come outside the New York blue line. There's Mike Lawler, the third-year pro from Buffalo, New York, only 23 years of age.
Several rookies in the Canadian lineup. Lemieux, Strudlin, Lawler, Patrick Roy.
Richer, of course.
Richer,
They've
right.
been using Dahlin a lot, not in there tonight.
Second night in a row, Dahlin is not in the lineup.
Early in the third period here at the Garden in New York. Montreal leading the best-of-7 series, 2 victories to none. Game 4 will be right back here on ESPN Wednesday night. Here's a drive by Lemieux wide. Sandstrom pokes to center ice, and Strudlin will go back. Larry Robinson up the middle again, and Huber intercepts.
Let that thing bounce again.
A backhander, Allison, and he's stopped on the rebound by Patrick Waugh. Mike Allison. Oh, that bouncing puck, Mickey.
Almost. Just about cost them. It's that last man situation I was talking about.
Gaston Gingras plays it right onto Allison's stick, and he shoots it in. Rangers changing players. Now it's Claude Lemieux, the drive, and it sails high. Bobby Crawford. Too far for Kelly Miller. Montreal. Carbonneau shooting the puck in. And Van Beesbroek for Huber. Around to Miller. He's got Erickson in front of him. Hands it to the defenseman Patrick, who Drives the puck in. Miller taken out by Gainey. Ludwig throwing his weight around, but here's Eriksson trying to move in front. Jan Eriksson has the puck taken away by Chelios. He fends off Miller. Carbonneau. Nyland. Back to Carbonneau. Gainey knocked down in front. No call. Then Nyland and Miller in the corner. Patrick leaving the puck, and it's played to Jan Eriksson. Here's Bobby Crawford. The shot and a stick save by Waugh. 3:32 gone. Third period, 2-1 Rangers. Rangers dangerous. Hema unable to center. Here's Samuelsson keeping the puck in. Crawford will come in to help out. New York changing on the go in front. Laidlaw can't get there quickly enough. Maloney takes his man down. Now back to the point. Samuelsson, the shot, and Waugh makes the save on the drive from Shell Samuelsson. In New York, the Stanley Cup coverage on ESPN continues. The Rangers 2, the Canadiens 1.
Fans, of course, reacting here at the Garden. Montreal really not able to get much offensively going at all. The Rangers are doing a good job of bottling them up in the middle ice.
Rangers have had all 4 shots on goal in this period. Samuelsson at one point, Melnick at the other. Ridley ridden out behind the net. Osborne back to Ridley, looking for LaRouche in front. Osborne does the same. Now Bobby Smith clears the puck out. McPhee after it. Melnick beats him to it. And Larry Robinson has the puck hop over his stick. Samuelsson trying to cover up, and he's helped out by Melnick to Ridley to Samuelsson. Osborne looking for LaRouche and just shoots the puck in. Lawler around to Naslund, on with Smith and McPhee. Bobby Smith, the 6'4" Montreal centerman, who has just a goal in his last 11 games, ridden out by Huber. In front, McPhee dumps, still centers, and LaRouche back checking, intercepts, head-manning to Ridley. And the Rangers will change players. LaRouche can't get the rebound. Look at Robinson there to clear it as Huber keeps the puck in for New York. And Ridley keeps it into Pierre LaRouche, and he's checked to the ice.
That's an offside pass, is it not? No.
Here's a breakaway. Naslund shoots. He scores. Mats Naslund, and he ties it at 2.
They're screaming at the Ranger bench at that pass being too lion, and we'll have to see it again where it came from. Naslund was in center ice area, and he got behind everybody on the Rangers and just deked Van Beesbroek, got him with the backhand. Now watch where the pass comes from. LaRouche gets tied up. Here's the flip right there. Now if Naslund didn't start, how do you figure?
That's an offside pass.
I think it is too.
To be onside with a pass from inside the Montreal blue line, Naslund would have had to start in his own zone,
right.
and he did not.
The puck has to go past the blue line before the player, and Naslund could never have been where he was if he'd have been behind the line when that puck was flipped by Robinson.
Ooh. It's 2-2. Naslund scoring on a breakaway on what seemingly looked like an offside pass from Larry Robinson. Then McClellan, a shot hits Ludwig. Skrudland checked by Allison. Sandstrom in front, and Ross stops the effort by Thomas Sandstrom. Naslund scores at 4:06 here in the third period. Larry Robinson gets the assist to tie this at 2. Richer and Naslund have scored for Montreal. Miller and Ridley for New York.
Well, here goes Naslund again. This time from inside the Ranger line. He just flipped the backhander and went right between the legs of Van Beesbroek to tie this hockey game at 2.
That's the 5th playoff goal for Naslund. Montreal led in goal scoring by Carbonneau and Lemieux. They each have 7. Well, it did look like an offside play, Mickey.
That it did. I would have, you know, though, if it was offside like we think it is, I would have expected much more of a fight from the Ranger bench. Because it seemed pretty obvious from up here. But we're tied at 2.
14:25 to go in regulation play here at Madison Square Garden in New York as Van Beesbroek just smothers the puck. 2-2 is the score. Face off near John Van Beesbroek. Ken Wilson and Mickey Redmond watching this Wales Conference Championship. The Prince of Wales trophy at stake. The winner will go on to the Stanley Cup Finals against either Calgary or St. Louis. 2-2 the score. Gingras ahead to McPhee with Naslund in front to Smith, just off his stick. Now Allison turning on the Jets. He's got McClellan with him. Also Sandstrom. Sandstrom takes the puck, can't get a shot away against Robinson. Larry Robinson takes out one man. Puck comes high, and Montreal hemmed in their own zone. Robinson to McPhee. 13:45 remaining. Bobby Smith, long shot. Look at the bounce. Van Beesbrook to Brian McClellan. And the Rangers just clear it out of their own end. Gingras. Nice pass to Naslund. And it's swept away by Samuelson. That's a real soft touch pass there. Shot back in by Chris Nyland. Larry Melnick to Don Maloney to Bob Brook. Payma's the right wing, off the boards for Payma. In front for Brook, but the pass deflects behind the net. Now Carbonneau gets the puck out. Here's Don Maloney, the veteran on this Ranger club, shooting it in. Payma takes out a man. Maloney crunches Ludwig and gets the puck. Back to Samuelson, the screen shot, and it goes wide. Here's James Patrick. Bob Brook. That hits Carbonneau, then a second shot wide. Samuelson knocked down by Ludwig. And Montreal clears the zone. 12:35 left on the clock in the third period. Chris Nyland for the Canadiens. Rangers changing. Now Montreal will change players. Nyland goes to the ice. Willie Hubert gathers in the puck. Plays it to center ice, and it's Chris Chelios. He's on his own. Montreal completing the line change. Bob Brook. Erickson. Chelios bumps him. Now the Rangers complete their line change as Kelly Miller flips the puck into the corner. Here's Larry Robinson, who seems like he's been on the ice the entire game. Centering pass for Miller. He's knocked to the ice. And Montreal trying to get out of their own end. Chelios finally gets the puck out. Ruotsalainen hit and takes the puck in offside. And there's 11:47 to go in the third period. This one is tied. Rangers 2, Canadiens 2. Set for the face-off. Rangers 2, Canadiens 2. Naslund on a breakaway, tying it here in the third period. A rather controversial play that seemed to look offside. Rangers doing a good job forechecking, moving very quickly here in this period. Ridley centers. Can't get the puck to LaRouche. Osborne, the other forward for New York. Now Montreal taking over. Here's Bobby Smith carrying to center ice. Over to McPhee, and Laidlaw breaks that up. LaRouche to Ridley. Back for LaRouche, and Naslund in the way. Here's a chance for McPhee, cutting in, and he tried to pass to Naslund. Naslund's pass for McPhee stopped by Melnick, and the Rangers come to center ice. Mark Osborne will leave the puck possibly for LaRouche, who now goes to the net and has to play it behind the goal. Centering, bouncing puck, and Roy finally swallows it up in his trapper. Let's look at the Mats Naslund goal and the pass from Larry Robinson.
Well, the only one thing that might have happened is that we don't see is if it hits somebody coming out, then it's okay. But does it hit anybody, or is it a straight flip? It doesn't look like it touched anybody. And I don't think Naslund could have been onside, which means back behind his own blue line when that puck was flipped over. But I'm really surprised we didn't get a real battle out of the Ranger bench, Kenny.
It clearly looked like an offside pass. And again, for those who might not be all that familiar, that's probably the toughest of all rules to really grasp in hockey, a game that's generally rather simple in terms of rules.
Maybe it's better explained by saying a two-line pass rather than offside. It is offside, but
yeah, it is a two-line pass, but we don't want anyone to think that you can't pass it 2 lines from the red line over the next blue line, because you can do that 2-line pass
if you stay onside.
If you stay onside.
Right.
Over on the other side, Allison on top of the Montreal player, and that's Chris Nyland. Very simply, and we don't want to get too elementary, but we don't want to leave anybody behind. There are 2 offsides. One, the most basic frequent offside. You cannot, any player cannot proceed the puck over the offensive blue line or the other team's blue line. The puck must proceed all 5 skaters. Very simple. You see it all the time. The other offside is on a pass from inside your own zone, inside your own blue line, to a teammate out over the center checkered red line. You can't make that pass unless the teammate started out from inside the blue line and took the pass over the red line. But if he's out there just wandering as Naslund was, you can't take that pass without being offside.
That's why the colleges, some of the colleges play without the red line, so they open it up. You can pass it all the way down to the other team's blue line without that red line in there. But now that we got that down, Pat, let's.
Well, we've done it once in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't let anyone say we didn't explain it. Penalties to Nyland and Allison, 2 minutes each. High-sticking Nyland, roughing Allison at 9:22 here in the third period. Coincidental penalties. Both teams will play it at full strength. This is Melnick. Huber. Up to Maloney, and he'll backhand it in. Brook forechecking. Paymont tries to intercept, fails to. DeBlois. And finally, Gainey loses the puck. He checks Maloney. That's a good example of how Bob Gainey plays.
That's right. He recovered and picked up his man.
Don Maloney with Patrick and Paymont. 2-2 the score in front. It fails to reach Maloney. 9:40 remaining. Centering pass for Brook. And he couldn't get a stick on it. And the Canadiens clear the puck. And Van Beesbrook has to make the play, and it's Willie Huber. Rangers changing on the fly when the puck's in their own end. Out to center ice. Erickson gets the puck, and it hops over Miller's stick. Stéphane Richer, the 19-year-old. Now Miller, another rookie for New York, wrestled down. There'll be a penalty. There'll be a 2-minute penalty against Larry Robinson, and he's not happy with the call by referee Dennis Morel. It'll be a holding penalty to Larry Robinson. The Rangers will have the man advantage. It's New York 2, Montreal 2.
Well, with 9:07 to play, third period, tie score. 2-2, Larry Robinson heads to the penalty box. And once again, the fans here at Madison Square Garden, a standing ovation for their hockey club. Rangers on the power play. Their shooters are out there. LaRouche, Ridley, Paymont. And we're set to go.
Patrick on the right point. Ruotsalainen on the left point. Carbonneau and Ridley for the draw. Carbonneau wins it. Ruotsalainen keeps the puck in at the point. Gainey, Carbonneau up front on the penalty killing unit for Montreal. 2-2 is the score, and Gainey clears the puck away.
These two have done a tremendous job by themselves, Carbonneau and Gainey, all night long, killing penalties.
Rangers trying to get started on the power play against Philadelphia and Washington. They were very successful on the power play, but they have not been in this series. They are 2 for 13 with a man advantage against Montreal, and 0 for 3 tonight. Robinson, the holding penalty at 10:53. Rangers trying to get something going here in the Montreal zone.
3 Canadians over there right now. They're lucky that puck didn't pop loose to a Ranger. Their New York season may well be on the line here in the next 8 minutes and 23 seconds. They cannot afford to go down 3-0 to the Canadiens. We talked about it as it was, dropping 2 in Montreal. That leaves you 5 games. And how do you beat the Montreal Canadiens 4 out of 5? But you come in here, and the old cliche, take them 1 at a time, a shift at a time, a game at a time. And momentum does swing around. They get a win here tonight. And take after game 2, they could go out of here tied and make it the best of 3.
1:12 left in the penalty to the Canadiens' Larry Robinson. Brian Skrudland out killing the penalty now, does a good job. Patrick knocking the puck down, gets it back. Patrick and Ruotsalainen, who takes the pass on the fly. The feed for Sandstrom too far, and the puck cleared out.
Bouncing again.
The ice, as we have mentioned, new, just put in. That's always a problem. It gets very chippy. Puck bounces a lot. Also, it was very warm in New York today, and it's certainly not cool inside the Garden, which often creates Soft ice and a bouncing puck to shot, and Raw makes the save on Will Paymont.
Outside.
Out it comes.
Yeah.
Shot back in, delayed offside, and the Canadiens get the puck out.
20 seconds left now in the Montreal penalty.
Just over 7 minutes to go in regulation play. Rangers, Canadiens tied at 2. Brook driving the puck in. Waugh leaves it. And finally has to play it into the corner. It takes a New York hop. Here's Crawford to Paymont. Montreal shorthanded. Brook shoots and scores. Bob Brook from Will Paymont.
What a shot.
Oh, did he pull the trigger?
Oh. He one-timed it right into the far side top corner. Boy. Everybody jammed up the front of the net. Roy was back on the goal line. There's Paymont. See, Chelios doesn't want to go and get him. And here comes Brook. Bingo. 3-2 Rangers.
McClellan right out in front, and he may have helped to screen Waugh. That's the 5th playoff goal for the 25-year-old Massachusetts native, Bob Brook.
A beautiful wrist shot. No time to slap the puck in that close, and they do take the time for it. The goaltender gets set, but Roy was caught deep in his net on the line, or he would have been out blocking the angle and would have hit him. Perfect shot by Bob Brook.
Each team now has a power play goal, and each team 1 for 4 with the man advantage. And the Rangers have the advantage in the game, leading 3-2. 7:06 to go in regulation play. Montreal has the advantage in the best-of-7 series, 2 victories to none. Game 4 here at the Garden Wednesday night, and you'll see it here on ESPN. Brook fired up, gets the puck to Osborne. Maloney, the other forward. Now Montreal at center ice. Naslund gets it in, and Laidlaw controls. Out of the reach of Osborne. And this crowd is very much into it now. Boy, New York would love to get a goal and have that 2-goal lead. And a 2-goal lead is something neither team has enjoyed tonight as Chelios is stopped. Here's Bobby Smith. Naslund caught inside the line, a delayed offside call against Montreal, and the Rangers clear it out. 6:12 to go. 12:54, the time of the power play goal. Brook from Paymont. Crawford. Now Richer, and getting in front of the puck is the big defenseman, Shell Samuelson. Now, I said it was a power play goal for Brook, but we go back on the arithmetic. It was 1 second after Robinson came on. At the Garden, Rangers 3, Canadiens 2. Ken Wilson, Mickey Redmond at a jam-packed Garden in New York. 3-2 Rangers. The goal again at 12:54, just as Larry Robinson had stepped out of the penalty box, so it technically is not a power play goal. Brook, his 5th of the playoffs from Paymont, Crawford. Miller, Ridley, and Brook have scored for New York. Richer and Naslund for Montreal. Down to 6:03 to go. Rangers able to get the puck out of their own end. McClellan to Sandstrom with Allison, and a glove save. What a save by Waugh as he takes a 4th Ranger goal away right there.
He was well out of the net that time, almost at the top of the circle when he caught that pass, or shot rather. Looking for, he was out at the circle, inside the faceoff circle. Watch this now. Does Sandstrom have room on the far side? We won't know because it didn't get there. Look where he is.
In this period, Montreal has had 1 shot on goal. Naslund's breakaway, and he scored. The Rangers have had 9 shots on that young man, the rookie, Patrick Waugh, in his 13th playoff game. He has been in all of them for the Montreal Canadiens. They have lost only 3 of their 12 playoff games, but they're down to less than 6 minutes here in this one in New York. Gainey to Nyland. Montreal looking to tie. Nyland stood up by Patrick. Puck loose. Rangers Crawford to Kelly Miller, the Michigan native. 5:25 to go. Miller doing a good job controlling the puck for New York. Carbonneau can't even stop him. And when Carbonneau can't stop you, you're doing a good job. Out Chris Chelios for Montreal. Erickson intercepts, and he's taken down. Here's Crawford, who's had a big game for New York. Tied up by Carbonneau, and the Canadiens really bottled up in their own end. 4:50 to go. Now the Rangers can really play some defensive hockey as Ruotsalainen's shot is stopped by Waugh. 4:40 to go. 3-2 New York. Chris Nyland, his shot, and it goes well wide. Van Beesbrook smothers it, and that stops play with 4:31 to go. Game 3 of the Wales Conference Championship. The Rangers lead it 3-2. New York Rangers have outshot Montreal now 32-23. They lead 3-2. Allison wins the draw. Laylaw with Richer. Skrudland now with Allison. Here's Lemieux taken out by Ruotsalainen, and down to the ice they go. And finally Dennis Morel, the referee, blows that whistle. There'll be a face-off near John Van Beesbrook.
Montreal will be pressing now. Lemieux, who's had a very good playoff for Jean Perrin and the Canadiens. Scored himself some big goals. The overtime goal against Hartford. He's got 7 in all throughout the playoffs so far.
Game 3 of the Campbell Conference Championship Series at the Arena in St. Louis tomorrow night. That series is even at a victory aside. The Flames and the Blues. They will then play Game 4 on Thursday night. And you'll see that one from the St. Louis Arena here on ESPN. And of course right back here as our ESPN Stanley Cup coverage continues on Wednesday night. Game 4 from Madison Square Garden. Big face-off here with 4:19 to go. Montreal down by a goal. McPhee has that stick cocked on the edge of the circle. And the Rangers get the puck. No penalty. Now Sandstrom. In front, McClellan. The shot, the second effort, and Waugh stops Brian McClellan twice at point-blank range. Gaston Gingras spun down. There'll be a penalty.
Oh, boy. Rangers are going to get a penalty. Very much like the Robinson penalty.
Oh, you need to be more disciplined, Mickey Redmond, than that.
Oh, yes. McClellan couldn't quite catch Gingras, so he put the big arms around him and hauled him down. Right in front of Denny Morel. And with 3:56 to go, Montreal will go on a power play. Let's have a look at it. You're right, though. Not a good penalty to take in the offensive zone. You're up a goal late in the hockey game.
Time of the penalties, 16:04. Holding the call. Brian McClellan, the 2-minute penalty. Montreal 1 for 4 on the power play, and that was that first period power play goal by Stéphane Richer that tied the game at 1. Richer banked it after circling the net off the left skate of Ranger goaltender John Van Beesbrook. It was 1-1 after a period. Ridley scored for the Rangers in period 2 to give New York a 2-1 lead. Naslund scored early here in the third period on a breakaway to tie it at 2. Brook has scored at 12:54 to give New York the lead. Now the Rangers must play shorthanded. They'll kill the penalty with Brook, Maloney up front. Patrick on defense with Huber, who steps in the way of Smith. Naslund can't get the puck, but Robinson does to Chelios. Back to Larry Robinson. Now Chelios. Bobby Smith. Naslund is in front with Nyland. Nyland trying to get the puck loose. Check it, make it Lemieux. And the Rangers get the puck out. Robinson to Claude Lemieux. Lemieux over the line is stopped. And there's a minute 15 to go in the Ranger penalty. Just over 3 minutes to go in the third period. Montreal trailing 3-2. Gingras gets it to Robinson. He's stopped.
Robinson fanned in a shot and a deep slot. A good chance.
Gaston Gingras will go back. He's seen a lot of ice time tonight. Here's Larry Robinson, and the same can be said for him. Rick Green had to leave the game early as he apparently has the flu, and that's really hurt Montreal. Naslund, the shot tipped away by Melnick. Good defensive play. Now Smith. Gingras. Smith. 30 seconds left in the power play. Van Beesbrook the save. Loose puck. Bobby Smith. Gingras into the corner. Here's Mats Naslund. Look at Robinson right in front trying to get position. Now Larry Robinson. 10 seconds left in the power play. They score. Bobby Smith on a backhander. And Bobby Smith, with only his second goal in the last 12 games, makes it 3-3 with 2:04 to go. And Mickey, you could feel it coming.
You know what set that up? Big Robinson now standing. He's exhausted. Still in the New York zone. Smith on a high backhand into the top corner. Look at Robinson. He was pushing the front of the net and got belted and almost knocked down. Finally, Robinson made the play. Van Beesbrook didn't see the shot. He moved as it was going by him. Look at the Canadiens in front. Robinson left the position. And there it is. Look, Nyland's in the road. Bingo. Top corner. We are tied at 3 with 2:04 to go. Look at the pile up in front. Robinson had everybody off the play, really. And then finally he got out of the way. Look at Van Beesbrook down in a cat-like position trying to find the puck. And boom, before he could see it, it was by him.
That is the 4th playoff goal for Bobby Smith. He had one the other night in Montreal. Smith from Robinson and Naslund, a power play goal at 17:56. Montreal with 2 power play goals in 5 power play situations. Patrick's pass knocked down to a minute 45 to go, tied at 3, and Stéphane Richer offside on the left wing. It has come to this. Game 3 here in New York. Rangers lost the first 2 at Montreal. It's 3-3 with a minute 43 to go in regulation play.
Up until game 2 in Montreal, Bobby Smith hadn't scored a goal since the first game against the Boston Bruins, in which he had a pair. And all of a sudden he's got 2 in 2 games, and this one has got this game tied. We're a minute 43 from overtime.
Laidlaw, Erickson getting it in. Crawford there, centers, and Chelios intercepts. Back the other way, the Canadiens. A minute 25 to go. Third period. Chelios has the puck poked away. It's loose. Gainey can't get a stick on it. Now play turns up the other way. Erickson a pass deflects into the crowd off Guy Carbonneau, and there is a minute 15 showing on the clock.
You're right, though, Kenny. You could not necessarily predict a goal coming. Montreal had very, very good possession on that power play. Gingras made a good play just a moment before to keep it in as the Rangers were covering those points, but Robinson moved in from the point position. They had 4 men up and just kept control in about the back of the boards, and finally it paid off for them.
3-3. A minute 8 left. Ruotsalainen. Too far for Ridley. LaRouche digs after it. It's Robinson back. There's less than a minute to go in regulation play. McPhee for Montreal in his own end, tied up along the boards. Robinson steps into Ridley. Smith, the goal scorer to tie it to Nyland.
They're careful there, Kenny. Excuse me. They're so careful in their own zone.
Lemieux to Smith. Hits the side of the net. And it's Ruotsalainen head manning to Mike Ridley, who has a goal tonight. 32 seconds remaining. Robinson again. Too far for Lawler. But Montreal's Carbonneau. Rink wide. Here's Willie Hubert. 20 seconds to go. Rangers now want to keep the puck in. It's McClellan, who went off with a penalty that led to the tying goal. Larry Robinson for Chris Nyland. Down to 10 seconds. The shot caught by Van Beesbrook. And here's Patrick with 3 seconds left.
That's going to do it.
And this game will go into overtime at the Garden in New York. Well, in that third period, the Rangers outshot Montreal 12-4. Naslund scored at 5:06. Brook gave the Rangers the lead at 12:54. Then the McClellan penalty, and at 7:56, Bobby Smith, a power play goal from Larry Robinson and Mats Naslund. After regulation play at Madison Square Garden, the Montreal Canadiens 3, the New York Rangers 3. Mickey.
Took a couple of games, but there's a Ranger-Montreal series is finally warmed up, and it's 3-3 now as we get set for overtime at Madison Square Garden. Pleased to have with me Carol Vadnais, who spent 8 seasons as a player here in New York and a couple of seasons as an assistant coach. Now in the Montreal organization, was coaching the junior team at Verdun, and I wonder if you watch these games in Madison Square Garden and have a tough time deciding where your heart lies.
Well, it's kind of tough a little bit, you know. People tell me we're going to do it tonight. I says, yeah, we're sure going to do it. I mean, you know, being the former Rangers and now working for the Canadiens, so I guess a lot of people didn't know I was working for the Montreal Canadiens, but it's exciting. You know, it reminds me a little bit 79 when we were in the final against Montreal, and, you know, the crowd here and all that. It's a good city to play hockey. It's exciting.
Why do you think it's taken a couple of games for this to heat up? The first 2 games really lacked intensity. Does it go back to the series that these teams played before, do you think?
I don't know if it does, but, you know, like Rangers beat Montreal twice this year, and time was a tie, and it took everything to Montreal. And it looks like the first game, everybody was looking at each other. So it finished 2-1, and there was so-so game. The second game, well, Montreal put up a little bit more intensity. But tonight, I think the Rangers are playing the style of game that they did play against Washington in the 6th game when they beat Washington. You know, that type of play is a grabbing and holding and all that, and they're showing much more intensity, no doubt about that.
Is this the style of play that you as an advanced scout of this series would have expected from the Rangers right off the bat?
Well, I watched them play for 6 games, and I had a tough time to find out what the hell their system was and all that, but I was talking to a lot of people, and nobody could understand, and nobody still understands why they beat Philly, why they beat Washington. But, you know, they got a bunch of new guys and new nucleus of players, and they're playing together, and they started believing themselves. And John Van Beesbrook's a big key. In 79 we had John Davidson, and now they got a John Van Beesbrook, so it makes a big difference.
It's a year when there's going to be a lot of brand new names in the Stanley Cup. There are so many young players in the playoffs with all the teams this year, and your Montreal Canadiens have an abundance of them, like Patrick Roy. Could you, in your wildest imaginations at the end of the season, expected him to be the hero he's been?
Well, Jean Perron said it early on in the year. He thought he was going to be his #1 because of his performance last year in the Sherbrooke and the Calder Cup, and they say he won the Calder Cup. And he looks like he's got tremendous stamina, tremendous confidence in himself in the playoff. He can stand pressure pretty good. He used to go down tremendously. Now all of a sudden he's a stand-up goalie, does not go down as much, so I think it's a key factor for Patrick Roy.
Carol, thank you very much for stopping in. For being our guest here in this overtime intermission, we'd like you to receive a stylish Loris Sports Watch. Loris is the official timekeeper for ESPN. The score is 3-3 as we get set for overtime at Madison Square Garden.
And I'll say it again, there's only one thing more exciting this time of year than Stanley Cup play, and that is Stanley Cup overtime, and it's really sudden death for the New York Rangers. They lose this game, and there's practically no chance that they'll be able to come back and realistically have a chance to win the series against Montreal. For the Canadiens, they take this game, and they should be able to coast on into the Stanley Cup Finals. It's 3-3 after regulation. Let's tell you how it got that way. James Patrick for New York early on, 3 minutes, 15 seconds into the game, to Kelly Miller, who splits the defense. This play was onside, and so was the goal in the net. The Rangers led it 1-0. And Stephane Richer of Montreal picks up a loose puck behind the goal line, goes behind that. All he's trying to do is center the puck, and it goes off the left skate of John Van Beesbrook and into the net. We're tied at 1. Now watch. Here's our first bit of controversy. Montreal's Bobby Smith fending off Tommy Laidlaw, puts a shot on goal. The puck never is covered up, but referee Dennis Burrell loses sight of it, blows the whistle right now, stops play. The puck goes on into the net. Montreal thought they should have had a goal. The whistle blew no goal. With the score still 1-1. Rangers' Willie Hubert pass from behind the net to Brian McClellan. Patrick Roy with a quick glove hand. Second period, again, same score, 1-1. Pierre LaRouche for the Rangers keeps the puck in the zone. And the pass goes over to rookie Mike Ridley. Nice touch pass from LaRouche to Ridley, who shoots and beats for wide. It's 2-1 New York. Late second period, Van Beesbroek shows that he's solid in the net. Smith behind the net to Serge Bovaert, and Bovaert is stopped from point blank range. It is 2-1 Rangers. 5:06 of the third period now. Larry Robinson, does this puck hit a Ranger stick? I doubt it. It certainly doesn't look like it. And that looks to me like almost a three-line pass. Should have been whistled down offside. It wasn't. Matt Naslund gets a breakaway, shoots, and scores. We're tied at 2, but the Rangers didn't put up that much of a beat. And Will Paymont for New York, puck behind the net, passing out to Bobby Brook, the kid from Yale, was so big in that Washington series, and he snaps a quick one, and it's 3-2. The Rangers look like they're going to win the game, but with less than 3 minutes to go, Matt Naslund to Larry Robinson. Now watch the beautiful play by Robinson. He hits Bobby Smith right on the stick. Smith with a backhand and puts it in. We are tied at 3. In the first period, Miller for New York made it 1-0 Rangers. Then the rookie Stephane Richer tied it at 1 at the 6-minute mark. Second period, only 1 goal. Mike Ridley, the rookie for New York, and it is 2-1 the Rangers. Third period, it was 2-2 on that breakaway, disputed breakaway by Matt Naslund. Then Bobby Brook made it 3-2. Looked like the Rangers were in good shape, but at 17:56 of the third period, Bobby Smith from Larry Robinson and Matt Naslund. We are 3-3 and headed toward overtime, a very big overtime for both teams, but like I said, gigantic overtime for the New York Rangers. Now, the thing I want to point out again, this is new ice at Madison Square Garden. That's the reason why we've been getting some odd bounces both off the boards and also along the ice tonight. The puck will be bouncing around. The ice surface is resurfaced quicker than it is between the regulation first and second intermissions. And also in overtime, don't look for referee Dennis Burrell to call much of anything. I mean, you've heard the old expression, it'll take blood for the referee to call a foul, or in this case, a penalty. Well, it may very well do just that in overtime. The referees go by the old unwritten rule in the NHL. They don't want to be the reason why a game is won or lost. You can argue about whether that rule is a good one or not, but that's the way it is. It should be exciting. We can promise you that. Now let's go back to Madison Square Garden in New York and rejoin our play-by-play and color commentators. Let's go once again to Ken Wilson and Mickey Redmond. It's overtime. Rangers in Montreal.
Getting set for overtime, and the crowd kind of hushed at the moment. You can imagine when the Rangers come back on the ice, there will be mayhem here at Madison Square Garden in New York. Both of these teams are very familiar with overtime play in the playoffs. There have been 8 overtime games in the 60 Stanley Cup playoff games to date, or about 13% of the games have gone into overtime. Montreal involved in 2 overtime games, Mickey, in the Hartford series. They lost 1 on a Kevin Dineen goal at Hartford, and of course they won the 7th game at home when Claude Lemieux scored in overtime. The Rangers, who did not win in 13 regular season overtime games, scored 2 overtime victories in their series with Washington. Brian McClellan and Bob Brook getting those OT goals.
Well, Bobby Smith of the Canadiens has put us into overtime. It is 4th of the playoffs at 17:56. A power play goal from Robinson and Naslund. And they start to get up on their feet here as the Rangers come on the ice. Keep in mind that many of these overtime games are decided within 2 or 3 minutes after the start of overtime. And unlike the regular season where they only play 5 minutes, if they don't score, it's called a tie. We could play here all night long. First goal wins.
Well, we mentioned the overtime games, 8 of them. The longest overtime game was in the Winnipeg-Calgary series when Lanny McDonald scored in the 3rd and final game of the series for Calgary at 8:25 of overtime. So 8 OT games, and none of them have gone past 8 minutes and 25 seconds.
Of course, I'd have to go to the record book to get the longest overtime game in history, but memory serves me, it was a Detroit-Montreal game way back when.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
Mud Bruneau.
Mud Bruneau.
About 3 in the morning scored a goal.
I think it was 6 overtimes, wasn't it?
It was about that many. A lot of people have forgotten it, but I do believe this is the 50th anniversary season of that legendary goal scored by Mud Bruneau. And even you and I don't remember that.
No, just to read about it. Well, everything's so critical in overtime. Nobody wants to be the goat, if you will. Be very careful.
Which team needs it the most? No question about it.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Montreal leading 2-0 in this series, and they'd all but have it won if they can get an overtime goal here.
Yeah, it's a type of a game where you just try to play it safe, although you'd think that with all the quick scoring it would be wide open in overtime. As Kenny pointed out, nothing more than 8.5 minutes has gone by in this year's playoff without the game being decided.
Montreal again trying to win here for the first time this season. Ted Sater's team taking the 2 regular season contests from the Canadiens here. And the one game they had in the regular season at Montreal was a tie. But of course, Montreal opening up with 2 straight victories in this best-of-7 series.
You know, the Canadiens overall had a very successful season, but they really went sour the last 3-4 weeks of the season. They only won 3 games out of their last 10 or 11. And boy, everybody thought they were really in trouble going into the playoffs. But with Patrick Roy, they had really 2 goaltenders, because Steve Penny had gotten hurt. Sotard had been hurt earlier, but was at 100% starting the playoffs. They didn't really know who to go with. They went with a rookie, and boy, he has really proved them right. And all of a sudden, they're a factor to be in the Stanley Cup Finals again.
The New York Rangers in the regular season did not play .500 hockey. And should they lose tonight, their playoff record would be .500. They're only 7-6 in the playoffs. They've come a long way. Montreal, by comparison, is 9-3 in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're about set to go here. In Montreal, once again, we've seen so many of these players: Gainey, Carbonneau, Nyland, the checking specialists.
Rangers will have Brook on with Maloney on left wing, Payma on right wing, Patrick and Huber on defense. Carbonneau to face off against Bob Brook. And the Rangers with the puck to begin overtime. James Patrick firing it in. Here's Payma digging it out. Unable to center, and then a centering effort fails. Now it's Brook, and the save by Waz. Maloney set up Bob Brook. Huber is caught in, 3-on-2 break. Going for the net is Gainey, and the shot, and Van Beesbrook makes the save on Guy Carbonneau.
Boy, a great chance for the Rangers right off the bat. 25 seconds into the overtime, and Roy kept it out of there. And you're right, Kenny. Huber pinched in very deep in the wrong corner even. And the Rangers came, or Montreal came back 3-on-2.
Shots on goal in that third period. Rangers 12-4. They had a big third period. And overall, in regulation, Montreal out shooting the Rangers.
Montreal only had 4 shots on goal in that third period, but they got enough.
I may have said Montreal out shooting the Rangers. Not the case. Rangers out shooting Montreal in the first 3 periods. 31 seconds have gone by in overtime. Here's a chance. Rutzelaine, and Waugh makes the save, and Waugh knocks that effort down from the corner. Now Montreal back. Pass for McPhee out of his reach from Skrudland. Now Montreal dangerous. McPhee can't get the shot. And Osborne headmans to Ridley. Mike Ridley unable to move in around Chelios. Here's Larry Robinson as the Rangers change players. The veteran Robinson just flips the puck in. Montreal will change on the fly. 1:17 gone. 3-3 overtime here in Game 3 of this best-of-7 Wales championship. Beauvais didn't play much in regulation. In front to Smith. He shoots it wide. Back the other way, Thomas Sandstrom. He's got a head of steam, and the shot hits Lawler. And here's Mats Naslund. Rangers almost caught changing, and hurriedly they get everyone out there as Naslin's shot turned away by Van Beesbrook. Bobby Smith crunched by McClellan. Rangers in their own end. Montreal trying to complete the line change. Allison doesn't see the pass. Now it is Sandstrom with Allison. McClellan goes for the net, but Montreal gets the puck. It's 3-on-3. Here's Guy Carbonneau. Nyland centers, and it looked like it went off the handle of the stick of Van Beesbroek. Now Sandstrom to Allison, too well covered. Carbonneau with a bouncing puck.
Rangers have had, Kenny, a couple of bad changes have been caught.
Now Chris Nyland. In front is Gainey. Nyland well covered in the corner. 2.5 minutes have been played in overtime. Robinson keeps the puck in. It's Carbonneau looking in front. Centers, and Van Beesbroek covers. As Gainey was there with Nyland.
The first time it was jammed in front, it did hit Van Beesbroek's stick, Ken. Unfortunately, did not go back into the net. It came scooting out through the crease. And again, Carbonneau tries it. There's Nyland. Now watch this thing. See Van Beesbroek's goal stick? So many times that thing will bank off the goal stick and go right back into the net. Watch this thing. Oof, boy.
In regulation, Montreal outshot by New York 34-26. Both teams have had 2 shots in overtime. 17-18 to go in this first overtime period before a standing room only crowd at Madison Square Garden. Oh, do the Rangers need a win? Crawford wins the draw from Skrudlin. That's Tom Laidlaw.
Lemieux's got a broken stick and doesn't know it.
He's lost the blade of his stick.
For playing
He'll get a penalty. Dennis Morel may see it.
He doesn't know.
Oh, the Rangers screaming. Oh, the Rangers screaming.
You believe they're finally dropped the stick. That's incredible.
He played 15-20 seconds at least. Ruotsalainen shooting the puck in. Waugh leaves it for Chelios. He's hit by Miller. Then Crawford check. Kelly Miller battling for the Rangers in the offensive zone with Crawford. Then Chelios bumps Crawford. Look at the second effort by Miller until McPhee sweeps the puck away and gets it to center ice. As Lemieux's taken down by Erickson. Here's James Patrick upended. Now it's Crawford for New York. He has the puck taken away. Rangers shoot it in offside. Delay call. Montreal, Mike McPhee can't move along the boards. Bobby Crawford. We're approaching the 4-minute mark of overtime. Rangers 3, Canadiens 3 as Maloney misses Chelios, still tries to center, and intercepting is Bobby Smith. Montreal trying to change players. Smith unable to center. And the puck held in the corner for a faceoff. The overtime period, 4 minutes, 6 seconds old.
I'm not sure, Ken, whether a player with a broken stick has to play the puck. I think he has to play the puck, does he not? If I'm not mistaken. They've changed a lot of these rules over the years, and Lemieux obviously was not in the play, but he had no idea that the stick was broken. Normally a player can feel right away just by the weight of the stick that something's wrong. He's got nothing on the end of it. It's like trying to sweep a floor with nothing on the end of the broom.
Is there a sport that doesn't change a lot of rules every season? Maybe baseball is about the only one. Everything else changes with the season.
The Ranger bench was up and screaming because Lemieux actually was using that broken stick to cover a Ranger player and hook him.
Now the face-off in the Ranger zone. And the Rangers control Samuelson. He's on defense with Melnick. Having trouble, gets the puck out. Here's Ridley. He has a goal tonight. Ridley with LaRouche. In front, the shot, and the save by Waugh as Payma cut in. Another drive. LaRouche can't get the rebound by Waugh. And Osborne a shot, and the puck held. Oh, LaRouche on a rebound after Melnick's drive from the right point. And the big scores by the Rangers stopped by Patrick Waugh.
Somehow he kept it out. LaRouche had 2 or 3 pops at it. Watch it be set up. The puck got in the feet of Lawler. Good shot. Saved there was Ridley. Miller. And Melnick a blast. Now watch LaRouche all alone. He can't get it right there. He does get it there. He got the first shot off, and somehow Roy kept it out there. As Miller had another pop at him. Boy. And Roy now shaken up. Gaetan Lefebvre One of the Montreal trainers out to attend to Patrick Roy.
Well, to recap for you, Miller, Ridley, and Brook have scored for the Rangers. They came close to ending it right there.
It would have been a typical Pierre LaRouche goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Loose puck around the net. Sneaky Pete, they call him. Right there. Boy, oh boy.
The Montreal goals tonight, Richer, Naslund, and Smith. And the Richer and Smith goals coming with a man advantage. That Bobby Smith goal in the third period tied it up with 2:04 to go in regulation play. There is backup goalie Doug Sotuck.
Article in the papers, New York papers today, said Sotar's itching to get in, but he said, hey, what can I do? Patrick Roy is playing so well. I don't want anything to go wrong with him. So I'm satisfied to sit as long as he's playing that well.
Carbonneau and Ridley for the draw. Won by Montreal. Chelios around the boards for Gainey. He's hit from the point. Huber, and that hits a skate in front of Waugh. Now Ridley. He's got Huber moving in. Huber, the defenseman, up on the play. Nyland beats LaRouche to the puck and clears it out to center ice. Here's Patrick on with Huber on the New York blue line. Huber lifts it high. Look out, it'll come down. Waugh has trouble. Oh, and Osborne stops.
He's out.
Now trying to center the Rangers. LaRouche, who else is in front? Montreal in trouble. Can't clear. Huber, a shot, and it goes wide. Now it's Osborne. The drive, and that goes just wide. Now Huber plays the puck ahead into the corner. Behind the net to LaRouche. In front, Ridley, and he can't get the good shot away.
What a check by 17, Ludwig.
From the point, Huber a drive. LaRouche can't deflect. The Rangers are everywhere around the Montreal goal. 5:35 has been played in overtime. 3-3. The Rangers, if they fail to win, will go down 3 games to none. Sandstrom shot. Pad save by Waugh. Oh, and Waugh has done it all against the Rangers in overtime.
Montreal hasn't been over center ice for the past minute and a half.
Wow. The Rangers in overtime out shooting Montreal 9-2. Here come the Rangers again. They get the puck in, and Waugh says, let's have a face-off. And
Great
why
action.
not?
Great action. Another standing O from the fans at the Garden.
Well, you can see those shots, Mickey.
Yeah.
43-28, New York.
That is some goaltending by the youngster, Patrick Roy. He's been everywhere. Looked like Ridley, LaRouche, and Miller were on the ice for about 2 minutes, and they had constant pressure. That was like a center fielder waiting for a pop fly, and he misjudged it.
Boy, oh boy, Osborne and Ridley just about took advantage of that serious mistake by Patrick Waugh. 13:48 the time remaining in overtime, period number 1.
Craig Ludwig made a heck of a play, boy. He stopped, I think, Ridley from getting a rebound in front. He hauled him down in front, or this game would have been over.
Now Brook in the face-off circle against Brian Skrudlin for Montreal. Brook centering Payman Maloney. Ruotsalainen awaiting the face-off. Brook will try to pull it back to him. Laidlaw is the other New York defenseman. The puck comes to Ruotsalainen, over to Laidlaw. Wrist shot deflects. It's loose, and Waugh has it. Ooh, Mickey, I thought that deflection might have beat Waugh.
You know, I thought it was behind him, and it was, I think. It hit his blocker, deflected, hit his blocker, went up, I think, over top of him, and he reached around behind him and grabbed it. The Rangers going all their way. Look at the shot. Up off the blocker. It was going in the net. He stopped it with his blocker hand again and covered it with a trapper. Watch this from a high angle. Hits his blocker right there. Goes up and over top. And it is going in. And he got it somehow.
Oh, have the Rangers had chances here in overtime.
Won the face-off.
10 shots. There's a hand pass, and they'll have the face-off again. 10 New York shots, only 2 Montreal shots here in the first 6 minutes and 20 seconds of overtime.
You don't worry about getting shots on goal when you're too worried about keeping it out of your own net. That's the Canadiens thinking right now. Faceoffs, of course, become ultra important here in overtime, and just a few moments ago the Rangers won it cleanly and ended up with a shot from the point by Laidlaw.
Ranger coach Ted Sater told us before the game, he said, I'm going to move my speed around. I'm going to make sure I have speed on every line. We're going to have to rush the Montreal defense. We're going to have to show our speed tonight or we're not going to be able to win. And the Rangers really have played a very strong game. I think in that second period, third period, they were getting to the puck quickly, especially late in the second and in the third period. And it's tough to rush the likes of Chelios and Robinson. Montreal back, dumping the puck in. Ruotsalainen back for it. Lemieux all over him. Now Lemieux awaits the puck in the corner. Can't control. Ruotsalainen around to Don Maloney. Can't get the puck out. Chelios keeping it in. Now the Rangers bring it to center ice. Ruotsalainen flipping it over the line. High stick of Chelios hits the puck, and as his Montreal teammate touches it, the whistle stops play with 13:10 left in overtime period number 1.
Well, we're as close to being in our longest overtime of the 1986 playoffs. That one was what, 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay, Donnie McDonald beating Winnipeg in game 3. We're 6:50 into this one.
Neither one of these teams have played an overtime game this long, and as we mentioned, they have played between them 4 of the 8 overtime games that have occurred in the first 60 Stanley Cup playoff games this spring. What is the fatigue factor, Mickey? Is it much when you go away in overtime?
Oh yes, there's no question about it, and a lot of times that's what happens in overtime is people get tired. I think a key is that you've got to change quickly, because you get so tired after 60 minutes, let alone going into overtime, and usually when you get tired you make mistakes, and it'll cost you the hockey game.
Well, that could be a problem to look at for New York. They've used the big scorers here a lot early in this overtime period. LaRouche, Ridley, and Osborne are out there now. Here's Osborne intercepting, and the shot stopped by Waugh. Ridley and Lawler. Now Osborne, and the puck held for a faceoff.
Rangers continue to press. You know, Roy in the Montreal papers told the press the other day that he talks to his goalposts, and he says they talk back to him. He said they're my buddies. In his broken English.
The Mark Fidrich of hockey, right?
Yeah. He said they're my friends, why not?
There have been a few characters between the pipes over the years.
Yes, for sure. Schwartz had one of the all-time characters right here in New York for a long time, Gump Worsley. What a character he is.
The Gumper.
Yeah.
Now working for the Minnesota North Stars.
Yeah. I had a chance to play with Gump in Montreal going back a few years ago, and he's quite a guy.
My name's Ken Wilson. Mickey Redmond is our analyst. 4 seasons in his career with Montreal, including playing on 2 Stanley Cup Montreal championship teams in the late 60s. Jim Houston is here. Tom Mees is part of our coverage. It's overtime at Madison Square Garden in New York. Rangers 3, Montreal 3. And if you have just joined us, the Rangers have definitely had the better of the play here in the third period. Now the Canadiens going back in their own end. Mike Lawler on defense with Larry Robinson. Carbonneau centering Gainey and Nyland for the Habitants. Montreal, Robinson leading the run. Van Beesbrook stopping the puck. And he hands it to Carbonneau, trying to center. Guy Carbonneau. Oh, Nyland was all alone in front. And Shel Samuelson just sort of pinning that to his gear and holding the puck for a faceoff. We are in overtime at Madison Square Garden, just shy of the 8-minute mark of the first overtime period, and the score is 3-3. A goal with only 2:04 to go in the third period by the Canadiens' Bobby Smith, sending this one into overtime. Miller, Ridley, and Brook have scored for New York. Richer, Naslund, and Smith for Montreal. Both goaltenders have been superb. There is Van Beesbrook on that little shovel pass shot, scooping it up. And there's Bobby Smith, the man who has had the biggest goal of the night.
Well, the fans have certainly got their money's worth tonight here at Madison Square.
These two teams, game 4 here on ESPN on Wednesday night. You think it's crazy tonight? If the Rangers win this one, what will it be like Wednesday night?
That's right.
But that's a big if. Naslund kicking the puck ahead. Soccer style. Bovaert taken out. Puck held, a whistle, stoppage in play, and a face-off deep in the Rangers' end.
Here you see them changing again. They are changing awfully quickly. You can't afford to have a guy get tired out there.
The pace now, Mickey, after the first 5 or 6 minutes of overtime, has definitely come back.
That's what happens. They come out of the gate flying, trying to make it happen real quickly. And then once you settle in 5, 6, 7 minutes, who knows? You know, they do tend to tighten it up a little bit.
8 minutes, 13 seconds have gone by in overtime. So we're just soon to become the longest overtime game of this 1986 Stanley Cup playoff competition. Here's Claude Lemieux. Whoa, the shot goes wide. He's a man to watch. He already has an overtime goal this season for Montreal. Chelios clears the zone. Skrudlin unable to play the puck. It's left for Bob Brook. Here's Brook for New York. And it's offside as Maloney could not pause long enough at the blue line on the right wing. Rangers now have outshot Montreal overall 45-28 and 11-2 in this overtime period.
Bobby Brook out of Melrose, Massachusetts. Played for Yale University. Not a lot of university players in the NHL now. I know when I played a few years ago, there was very few.
A lot of Europeans like this man, Matt Naslund.
In the old days, Tony Esposito, Red Berenson, there were not a lot. Keith Magnuson. But now, they're certainly putting their share in the NHL. It's good to see.
All on the boards. 5 players there. Robinson unable to clear it out, losing his balance. Ooh, and Sandstrom is poke checked by DeBlois. Now Allison in front, and the stop on Sandstrom. Mike Allison setting up Thomas Sandstrom, and Patrick Waugh about ready to go beyond unbelievable. Mickey Redmond.
Somehow he got a piece of it. He was in the right place at the right time. Set up to Allison. Look at the redirection right there by Sandstrom, and he got his rebound. And they jam away, and Roy stood tall. Boy, that is some goaltending.
20 years of age. 6-footer, weighs only 165 pounds, and probably at about 160 right now if he were to hit the scales.
Right.
11:09 left in overtime, period 1. It'll be Mike Allison facing off with Guy Carbonneau. Sandstrom a shot that hits a leg. And a hand pass by Gainey. And from the origination of the hand pass, they'll come back to the face-off spot. John Van Beesbrook not too busy in period number 4, if you will.
That can be a kiss of death, too.
Yeah, you're right.
There as long as he has and hasn't had much action. All of a sudden you get something coming at you 125 miles an hour, and like, where'd this come from?
Sandstrom, McClellan the wings with Allison for New York. Look out. Carbonneau with a high stick, but a Ranger player touching the puck next. Here's Laidlaw. Chelios intercepts, has some problems. Rangers puck. Sandstrom, wrist shot, deflects wide off Ludwig. Allison, Ruotsalainen for New York. Now Nyland for Montreal. A pass for Gainey blindly. And Montreal unable to clear their zone. That was a whistle from the crowd. Now the linesman, I believe, they say a hand pass that Dennis Morrell did not see, and a bit of a discussion about the call, but play has been stopped.
Well, they're changing every 30 seconds now. Ruotsalainen and Ludwig down in the corner. What's Ruotsalainen doing down there? He's a defenseman.
9.5 minutes have gone by in overtime. The Rangers have had many, many outstanding scoring chances, but they have not been able to beat Patrick Waugh. It'll be Ridley with Osborne and LaRouche, Patrick and Huber for New York. In the face-off, Brian Skrudland against Mike Ridley, 2 rookies. Back to the point. Oh, and Huber fans.
Oh, my goodness.
Then he yanks down the stumbling McPhee, who gets up. Back comes Osborne. Breakaway. Hitting the crossbar.
The goal.
And they score.
Goal.
It went in right up top, and the Canadiens win it in overtime. It seemed to go right upstairs. I thought for a minute it may have hit the crossbar. And Montreal, Mickey, as we suggested, comes down, gets a shot. Van Beesbrook hasn't seen much. And the Canadiens take the game 4-3, and they lead in the series 3 victories to none.
Boy, a bad break for the Rangers. Huber's shot hit McPhee. And he went down. He was hauled down on the play. But got up and passed the puck. As the Canadiens are a happy, happy bunch. You can bet on it. A perfect shot by Lemieux. His 8th goal of the year. His 8th goal of the playoffs, I should say. But he made a perfect shot to beat Van Beesbrook in the top corner, just underneath the crossbar.
Boy, Lemieux has been something. McPhee set him up perfectly.
Watch how it happened. Look at McPhee go to the point. He didn't get out of the road. That's the key right there. Huber blasts. Now McPhee picks up the puck after he'd been hauled down now, and it's a 2 on the goaltender. See, Osborne tried to get back, and watch the shot by Lemieux. Perfect shot.
No question. I
right
thought
up under. Yeah.
Might have hit the crossbar, but it bounded out of the top part of the net. What a goal.
They go in and out so fast. And Lemieux, the Canadiens have known this young man is a goal scorer for a long time. You think he's not a happy man. What a break. The Canadiens.
We mentioned Lemieux. That's his 8th playoff goal.
Canadiens only getting in overtime 3 shots on goal. The Rangers had 13. And the 3rd shot right there by Lemieux ends this hockey game. 4-3 by Montreal. So with that and the Canadiens winning, the great goaltending of Patrick Roy will be rewarded with our Hartford Insurance Player of the Game. He certainly was the guy that the Montreal Canadiens turned to throughout the game, and especially in the overtime. Ken?
9:41 the time of the overtime winner. Claude Lemieux gets the goal. Mike McPhee gets the assist. So Montreal with a commanding 3-0 lead over the Rangers. That's the story from here. Let's go back to Tom Mees.
The NHL on ESPN has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Casio, maker of the shock-resistant, water-resistant G-Shock. It's one tough watch to beat. Our final score tonight from Madison Square Garden in overtime. Claude Lemieux's goal gives the Montreal Canadiens a 4-3 win and a nearly insurmountable 3-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. Join us as our Stanley Cup coverage continues on Wednesday night. Again, live from Madison Square Garden, it's Game 4. Montreal against the Rangers as the Rangers try and stay alive. Now, for everyone on Road to the Cup, I'm Tom Mees saying so long, everyone.